You can't say it's exactly been smooth sailing through spring training for the Mets this year, but the bite of the injury bug has been a little bit less acute as we work toward opening day. Just 9 days to go till the fans will be streaming into Citi Field. At Digital Domain Park in Port St. Lucie, Florida, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. New York Mets spring training on SNY is presented by Citi. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Port St. Lucie. I'm Gary Cohen alongside Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. The Mets play the Braves this afternoon. The Mets have had all sorts of small injury woes this spring, but as we get toward opening day, most of those are being resolved. Most importantly, David Wright played his first game in spring training yesterday, and Keith, he not just played, he played well.
He did play well, and with 9 games left in spring, it's time to dial it up and get that man in shape and ready to go for opening day. This is a very positive step for David. Got a base hit, first at bat up the middle. We like to see that. And I'm sure he was very happy about that. But most impressive, Gary, remember he's had that upper oblique injury. This play right here where he's got to go in the hole, but down the line, excuse me, the dive. I'm sure there was a few collective breaths, deep breaths and held breaths, I should say. But he made the play nicely. He said he felt great. He wasn't supposed to play today. He feels so good. He's in there again. He needs to play and needs to get ready for the season.
Also coming back from an oblique injury is Scott Hairston. He played his first game on the minor league side today. Got on base 3 out of 4 times. That's certainly a plus as the Mets look for a center field answer with Andres Torres still waiting to run for the first time since his calf injury. In that same minor league game, Dickey got 8 innings of work in.
Yeah, outstanding. That's the longest any Mets starter on this spring, and he was outstanding. He was changing speeds on that knuckleball. It was dancing as well as I've seen it all spring training long. Got a lot of fastballs by the young minor leaguers, but more importantly, he was out there. He took some at-bats. He got a big bunt down, and also in a little bit of trouble in that 8th inning, was able to induce a double play ground ball. So just a great job by R.A. today.
And the reason R.A. was pitching on the minor league side is because the Mets are playing the Braves today, and R.A.'s first start of the season will be against Atlanta in that opening series at Citi Field. So Chris Schwinded will take the start in the big league game today for the Mets. It's the Mets and the Braves from beautiful Port St. Lucie. All the action coming your way on SNY. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. by Bud Light. By Toyota, hurry in. It's Toyota's #1 for everyone sales event, Toyota. And by WB Mason for amazingly low prices on office supplies. Who but WB Mason? Follow the Mets with the MLB.com @BAT12 for your iPhone, iPad, and Android. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text @BAT to 31826 or visit Mets.com for details. Let's check out the Mets defense, brought to you by Lexus. Jordany Valdespin getting the start in center field as Terry Collins continues to explore his center field options, with Andres Torres still working his way back from the calf injury. David Wright unexpectedly playing for a second straight day, and David participated yesterday down in Jupiter against the Cardinals, and after the game, after playing 4 innings, felt as though the day had gone well for him.
Yeah, I mean, in the whole game, you know, the preparation, you know, obviously the at bats, the, you know, kind of sitting and getting up and going and playing defense. I think that, yeah, I think all in all it was a good day, just for the fact that, you know, I feel healthy and I feel like I'm ready for tomorrow.
And so David ready to go for a second straight day, requisite soreness and all, as the Mets and the Braves play this afternoon here in Port St. Lucie. 9 days till opening day, and spring training starting to wind its way down to the real thing.
Leadership.
Michael Bourn leads off for the Braves against the 25-year-old right-hander Chris Schwinden. Bourn, 3-time defending stolen base champ in the National League, fouls it away, and it's a ball and a strike.
Well, Schwinden last year in Buffalo was their most valuable player and most valuable pitcher. 4 starts with the Mets in September, did not get any wins, went 0-2.
But really didn't pitch badly after that first start, where he looked a little bit amped up, a little overmatched.
You know, it's almost like the innings in AAA had added up. He didn't look the same as he did in the final 3, where he had much more in the baseball.
Popped up, right with the sunglasses on over near the tarp, but runs out of room. And the thing about Schwinden is he began last year in the bullpen at AA as a complete afterthought, only because of an emergency situation in AAA. did they bring him up for what was supposed to be a spot start, and he wound up making 26 starts in AAA.
Yeah, he got his shot and he made the most of it.
2-2 to Bourn. And he chops one down to first. Ike Davis giving ground. And Swindon over to cover for the first down of the game. So 1 out and nobody on. Braves have a few regulars here today, including Bourn and Freddie Freeman. Eric Hinsky will probably share left field with Matt Diaz now, with Martin Prada moving back to third base with the Chipper Jones injury. Jason Hayward trying to bounce back from a very difficult sophomore year, not having a good spring. Lineup brought to you by Toyota. Here's Jack Wilson, who's missed most of the spring because of an injury that he suffered while working out at home this winter. He suffered a calf injury lifting weights. Wilson now 34 years old and trying to make the team as a backup middle infielder, and Slider from Swindon 0-1.
He's also a backup, a veteran backup, just in case the two young guys that are fighting out for that shortstop starting position don't pan out.
Well, one way or another, Freddie Gonzalez is going to have a rookie shortstop this season, at the beginning anyway, and either a very inexperienced player or an incredibly inexperienced player will be his shortstop. Ball and 2 strikes to Wilson. But Jack Wilson in his day was a terrific defensive shortstop.
Defensive shortstop, also a very hard-nosed player. And a guy who you could hit and run with, do a lot of things with.
He was cut out of the same mold as Freddie Patek. I felt good defense, was a smart player, and not a power hitter, a guy you could hit 8th in the lineup or his second, hit and run. He's had a nice career.
Eckstein maybe kind of player.
Putting a lot of time playing for some bad teams in Pittsburgh. Fouls back the fastball from Swindon, and it's 2-2. 80 degrees. Some clouds overtaking the sun right now. Just another gorgeous Port St. Lucie afternoon. There's Freddie Freeman waiting on deck, looking to build on his fine rookie season from a year ago. And the foul tip held by Nickius, and Wilson is down swinging for the second out.
Well, Swindon has a little cutter that he throws inside, ends up right over the middle of the plate, fouled straight back by Wilson. 17 punch-outs in 21 innings for the Mets last September.
So here's Freddie Freeman, who would have been the National League Rookie of the Year last year, but for his teammate. Braves finished 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year balloting. Craig Kimbrell beating out Freeman for the award.
Well, Freeman not having a really strong spring, hitting .237 for the spring, with 3 home runs though and 9 RBI. He is a guy with a future in front of him. I like the fact that he uses the whole field. When he learns to pull, I think he's really going to be one of the better power hitters in the game.
Now the Braves have the 2 22-year-old left-hand sluggers in the lineup, Freeman and Jason Hayward. We saw Hayward have a terrific rookie year and then fall off the shelf last year. And you wonder whether Freeman can put together back-to-back solid years the way Hayward was unable to.
Well, you know what's interesting about Hayward, everyone talked about he started the season with an injury and couldn't really shake the injury, but Freeman played a lot of the season last year injured also, but got through it.
And the thing about Hayward is that after having a very poor year last year, he's having a very poor spring this year.
Yep, he's under the interstate there, 183. He's hitting, and alarmingly has 17 strikeouts.
And this was an Atlanta team, even at its best last year, that was offensively challenged. They were carried by their pitching, and they won 89 games, but faltered at the end when the pitching cracked a little bit and the offense just couldn't bail them out.
If they didn't fold their tent in September like they did, they would have won, around 95, 96, 97 ball games.
And that's finishing 10th in the league in runs scored, 14th in on-base percentage. I mean, they were not a good offensive team, but their pitching and especially their young bullpen carried them. 3-2, and Freeman fouls it up.
I always thought it was a bit ironic. The Braves coming down the stretch lost 6 of 7 to Milwaukee, and they lost the last 3 games to Philadelphia at the end of the season, maybe 4 games to end the season, and Philadelphia and Milwaukee end up losing to the Cardinals, who got in because they handled the Braves.
Fouled off the leg of Freeman. And that hurt.
Well, the last time we saw the Braves here, Gare, they were 3-11, and that was their low watermark for spring. But since then, we've won 5 ball games, so their record now is coming in as 8-14 with some ties. So I'm sure when they were 3-11, there were some pretty unhappy faces over there, particularly after the collapse of last year's and their collapse in September.
Well, you know, we witnessed the Mets coming back in 2008 after their collapse of 07 and wondered what their psyches would be like. It's very odd, though. The Braves collapse got very little attention last year because it coincided with the Red Sox collapse. And you look at last year and where the Braves went from with a 9.5-game wild card lead with a week to go in August to eventually getting edged out on the final day. But you know what I mean? Certainly from a national perspective, the Red Sox collapse got so much more attention than did the Braves.
It got more attention initially, and of course it was fueled over the winter with the beer and fried chicken stories, of course.
This will be the 11th pitch of the at-bat from Schwindel to Freeman, and the curveball is low for ball 4, so Freeman works out an extended plate appearance for a walk. So I guess my question is, because they probably haven't been asked nearly as many questions about last year's collapse as, say, the 08 Mets were or the Red Sox are this spring, does it have less of a collective hangover?
Well, I don't think so, because no, I say that it does, and the reason I say that, Gary, is that nationally they might not be asked, but they are asked every day in that clubhouse by the people that are following them about the collapse.
Here's Eric Hinske, and thinks about a bunt with the Mets playing the overshift.
And they got a serious pull on Hinske, who's going to be sharing that left field. And you can see David Wright really way over in the shortstop's position.
But
and that triangle on the right side.
But he's drawn over a little closer to the line now after Hinske showed bunt on that first pitch.
As far as I'm concerned, let him bunt. This guy's a big power hitter, a very dangerous bat. And as I was saying, he and Matt Diaz are probably going to share the load out in left field until Chipper Jones is able to return from that arthroscopic surgery on the cartilage of his knee.
Of course, they also have Jorge Constanza, the guy who messed up Daniel Murphy's knee last year. He's a possibility to fill in a little bit there.
Gives you a little more speed, but, you know, he has been fantastic, hasn't he, Hinske, for this Braves team, or really any team he's played for. He's made himself into a great bench player, can bring some pop off the bench, but he can start for you for a week or 10 days.
10 home runs last year, 236 at-bats, 34 years old now. 2-2 now.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, Gary, that, you know, Boston's more of a media center as opposed to Atlanta. But I think also, as like Ronnie said, they're hearing it from the Atlanta Constitution, the sports writers that are following the team.
'27th pitch of the inning from Schwindel, and Hinske lifts one toward the left field line. A long run over there for Lowen, and he runs out of room.
Anything down the left field line with the wind blowing out in right center, you can see the flags. It's just going to blow out of the ballpark.
Well, it's been those prevailing winds, easterly winds off the ocean all spring long. It's kept things nice and humidity free, and just one of the best spring weather-wise I've ever been involved with down here.
2 years in a row, really.
Weather has been spectacular. I think there's been one bad day all spring. Just missed, and a full count to Hinske with the dangerous David Ross on deck.
Schwindel features that cutter against lefties. That's what he uses to try to get inside.
Two pretty good at-bats against him right here in the first inning. Freeman had a very prolonged at-bat and worked a walk, and now Hinske's worked it to full too.
So Ike plays behind Freeman, who will be on his way. 3-2 from Schwindel, and Hinske hits one deep to right center. Back goes Duda. He won't get there, and it's one hop to the wall. Freeman will jog on in. Hinske cruises into second with an RBI double, and the Braves jump out to a 1-0 lead. Against the wind, Hinske hits it one hop to the wall.
High fastball. Wants to come inside. Watch the catcher's glove right down the pipe, belt high. And Duda playing shallow. That's a short hop off the wall. And he covers it. There you go. Full extension of the arms. That means the ball's out over the plate, right on the barrel.
It's interesting that Duda has been playing very shallow this spring training, probably because of the wind. I think that shot right there was that, what do you call it, the 2-iron, Keith? That was like a 2-iron out there to right center.
Speaking of 2-irons, how about Tiger getting his first win?
That's right.
David Ross takes it wide. By the way, after that shot by Hinsky, Duda's playing a little deeper. Even with the right-hand hitter up now.
I'm from the school that he should be playing deep all year.
Really playing him to pull center field, and Duda, there's a big gap in right center field.
Ross pops one up. That'll go out of play. David Ross, the perfect backup catcher for the Braves when you have a guy who's going to play 135 games a year like Brian McCann. Ross can play once a week and do a good job defensively, hit the odd home run.
You know, but McCann withered down also in September with those 135, 140 games.
He had a terrible finish.
Last 6 weeks, McCann hit 180, and that had something to do with the Braves' finish as well. There's a call strike to Ross, 1-2. But that's part of the problem, of course, when so much of your offense is centered around your catcher. The Mets lived with that for years with Mike Piazza. There's only so much you can expect to get from a catcher over the course of a season when he's playing that many games. Curveball back to the mound. And Swindon puts an end to the top of the first. Took him a lot of work to get there. Braves pick up a run. Mets will come to bat when we come back. Here's your Geico Mets lineup for this afternoon. Jordani Valdespin will get a spin as the leadoff hitter and center fielder. David Wright playing 2 days in a row. Davis and Duda, the big left-handed bats in the middle, joined by Adam Lowen. Facing the veteran right-hander Buddy Carlisle, who did a little work for the Yankees last year out of the bullpen. Valdespin hitting .297 on the spring, and he takes ball 1.
Carlisle, who pitched for the Braves before, went to Japan, ended up pitching, like Gary said, for the Yankees, signed a minor league deal. This is his first game in the major leagues spring training.
34 years old. He has been around the block once or twice. He made 20 starts for the Braves back in 2007. Only real year that he's gotten a chance to start consistently in the major leagues. You see Valdespin's totals from last year, AA and AAA. His best power season, certainly as a minor league player. Jordani's now 24 years old, lifetime infielder, now being asked to play the outfield. There's Roger McDowell, sporting
goatee.
All of our mustaches and goatees are getting a little grayer. Maybe not yours, Keith, but ours are.
He might need an appointment with you, Keith.
I get a little help.
Valdespin slugs one out to center. Bourn on his way back, and he runs it down. That's a Gold Glove center fielder, and it took that to rob Valdespin of an extra base hit.
No, this also is cutting the teeth of the wind, too. Not really the teeth, but the wind's kind of holding it up. But Bourn is very, very good defensively out there. Covers a lot of ground right there. That proves it.
So one long out and nobody on. Roger Bourn has won 2 Gold Gloves in his major league career. Justin Turner having a very poor spring with the bat. He's had 46 at bats now, and he's batting just 152.
Played some first base in yesterday's ball game.
Did looked like he handled it just fine. He's added to his resume this year. Let's don't. Well, they have a natural first baseman to back up Ike Davis, but he's playing right field. And Terry doesn't want to move Lucas Duda in if Ike needs a day off. So Turner is the choice to adopt the bigger mitt. Slashed the other way, and Wilson makes the diving grab for the second out.
Buddy Carlisle employing that adage that there are 8 gloves behind you, right?
And there they are.
We'll take a look at the City Nationals defense. Well, Braves, excuse me. Is that an old copy right there?
Well,
Did you hand me the wrong copy?
They are a National League team.
By the way, you just pulled the Ron Burgundy.
I wasn't. It's okay. It happens.
You will read whatever's in the prompter.
We get the kinks out in spring.
No, that's right.
Well, here's David Wright playing for the second straight day. Yesterday, his Grapefruit League debut, and he went 1 for 2. David coming back from a slight abdominal tear. And I would have to say that the Mets were on the very cautious side of things in working David back. He chops one down third. Do or die grab by Drew Sutton, the third baseman. And he throws out right. So Carlisle, employing the atom ball, has a 9-pitch inning. And the Mets are out 1-2-3. Second inning in Port St. Lucie, 1-0 Atlanta. Jason Hayward leads off. Did you happen to notice? Have you been looking at your monitor? Guys, you see the new bug?
Yes.
Our new score bug in the corner of the screen. It's making its debut today.
That upper left-hand side?
The thing with the score and the count of the outs. We call that the bug.
Give me my fly swatter.
It's got a very nice, sleek bottom look to it. It's got the pitch count on there.
Yeah.
So I can stop counting.
There you go. We lobbied for that last year, didn't we? Nice.
Hayward hits a rocket through the hole. And so Jason Hayward has the second hit for the Braves off Chris Schwindon. Leadoff base runner for Atlanta. And now Drew Sutton, who has kicked around, played briefly in the major leagues with the Reds and the Indians, and last year with the Red Sox. Trying to win a backup job on the infield for the Braves. Shredded pours one over.
Just interesting, the defense the Mets are employing here. We've really never seen. Drew Sutton is not a straight pull hitter. Right is about as far off the line as you would ever see. That's usually for a pull hitter or a big power hitter.
So what do you think that is? Just a comfort level?
Well, I think what they're thinking is that we talked about the cutter from Swindon, so there's a lot of pitches middle of the plate in. But boy, it really puts you at a disadvantage as a pitcher if you want to go away with a sinker. You just line something down the line, it's automatic double.
Well, last year with Chip Hale in charge of the defensive placements, there was a lot of extreme overshifts. We're not seeing it so much this year. Chip, of course, they went to Oakland, correct?
Yes. Third base coach for Bob Melvin.
So now Timmy Tuffle has that assignment, as Hale did last year. First strike, and it's 1-2. Now, part of that is organizational philosophy.
And they have charts. They have charts up the yazoo about where guys hit the baseball. But you got to be able to execute your pitches also to make those charts kind of work.
And those charts have become a lot more sophisticated in recent years. It used to be that as Hayward taken off and is fouled away, it used to be you just get a piece of paper with a bunch of lines and you go where the preponderance of the lines. And now it's much more sophisticated in terms of which pitch, which count, where the balls hit, on the ground, in the air.
And I talked to Dave Duncan, of course, one of the best pitching coaches for many years, and he always still did his by the chart because he could recognize and write in with what he saw also where the ball went.
And everything's just all the computerization today. And all the scouts today, the big difference, all the scouts have to file their reports after every day they're watching a ball game. They go back to their hotel room and they can't stop at the bar. They're up in their room, and they gotta.
Unless they might have Wi-Fi.
They got sites and all that stuff on the computer on everything that went on. I mean, it's just so specified now, time consuming.
Well, it used to be there would be a phone call. I mean, literally, the manager would call the scout and say, "Hey, how did so and so do? He had 4 at bats, really hustled."
Right.
I mean.
And I know a lot of scouts that moan and groan about it, too.
Yes. Toward the hole, and that's a base hit. Hayward pulls in at second, and so back-to-back singles for the Braves to start the second inning.
Well, really, no one's going to make this play, but the Mets have put the second baseman closer to the bag, especially when Murphy's playing, Keith, and a little change up here to Sutton.
Well, it's also just a double play depth, too. You know, you got to be close to the bag in case it goes the other way. You got to be able to get to second base if it's hit to the left side of the infield. So that ball's hit a little bit too hard, too. That's a base hit.
Now here's Andrelton Simmons. He's one of the 2 youngsters who's competing for the shortstop job. Going into the spring, it appeared that Tyler Pasternicki had the inside track for that job for the Braves, but Pasternicki has not been nearly as impressive as Simmons this spring. The only problem is Simmons hasn't played a single at bat above A ball, so it would be an extraordinary reach to have him begin the season as the starting shortstop.
And he's hitting 222. It's not like he's hitting 380, but evidently this kid's got a lot of talent.
He's stunned people with his defense this spring. Popped it up in foul ground. Dickey is coming back, but it's on the dugout roof.
Well, every report that you read about Simmons is the same. Is that, of course, at 22 years old, hasn't fully developed as a hitter, but they feel like even last year that he's major league level as far as defensively at shortstop.
Got a great arm.
That's right. I mean, a great arm. He went to junior college in Oklahoma where he pitched and they clocked him at 98 miles an hour.
Although he's got a great arm.
Not a lot of shortstops throwing 98.
He played, A-ball last year in the Carolina League, I guess, and led the league in hitting.
Hit 311 last year, and he rips that one down the line, but just fouled.
He's got a big bat. I didn't notice that's a long bat he's swinging there with a big barrel.
Like Julio Franco-like, huh?
Oh, here we go. Nice take back. A little bit of a waiver, a little extra movement with the bat head, but he gets it through there. Nicely done. Nice hips. Nice rotation of the hips with that swing.
So now it's 1-2 to Simmons. Pitcher Carlisle waiting on deck. Out to left, and in comes low into grab it. 1 out. So Simmons had a pretty good turn at bat there.
Yeah, nice, impressive at bat.
That's the first out of the inning. Now Carlisle will come up to bunt. So you got Buddy Carlisle starting on the mound for the Braves and Chris Schwindel starting for the Mets 9 days before opening day, and you wonder what's shaking. Either one of these guys is going to be in the big leagues when the season begins. And the answer to that is that because the Mets and Braves open the season against one another, neither team wanted their schedule started today to face the other with a game that matters just 10 or 11 days away.
So again, back to the dearth of teams here on the east coast of Florida.
So both R.A. Dickey for the Mets today and Brandon Beachy for the Braves pitched in minor league games to keep a little mystery involved. Not that there's much mystery, particularly in R.A., but you don't want the Braves to get too much of a look at him. R.A. will most likely pitch the second game of the year, that Saturday game. Mets run the wheel. Comebacker to Schwindel. A wide throw, and Turner does well just to stay on the bag and get an out. Should have been a double play, but Turner made sure they didn't get nobody out.
Well, what happens here for Schwindel is when the ball is hit back to him, Carlisle fakes the bunt and then hits the ball back at him. I don't think he knew exactly what to do with the baseball. He gets it, and he's thinking, where am I going to go? And that little delay cost him the throw off the bag. But nice play by Justin. That's knowing what you're going to do with the ball before you get it kind of deal.
So the inning stays alive. Now, normally on the wheel play, it's not the second baseman's responsibility to cover second. So what was Turner doing that close to the bag? Just reacting to the ball off the bat?
You're still told that you come in at your position, right, Keith, at second base, and then you wait for the ball, and if he's swinging, you kind of hold your position.
So he's running now, and he has the presence of mind to stop. Once the ball's hit, he stops, as you can see. So where's he to go? He's in no man's land. The only place he can go is second base. That's a pretty heads-up play by Turner. And you're right about Swindon. He did cop a peek over at third base, Ronnie, and he's got to realize that there's no way the shortstop can get there because David Wright's coming in hard.
Right. I mean, the shortstop might get there in time to get one out, but there's no way you can turn the double play that way.
You've got to know the turn it, and it's interesting if that ball had gotten by Schwindon, it would have been an even easier double play because Turner was standing right there.
So now Schwindel with a chance to get through the inning. First and third and 2 out. Bourn grounded out to Ike Davis's first time up. And takes the breaking ball down 2-1.
Looking at that outfield defense, Keith, Duda again very, very shallow. I know Bourne's a leadoff hitter, but he's got some pop.
I think he might. Win, though. You know what, too? It's the runner's on third base. You know, a base hit's gonna score him anyway.
So now it's 2-2 to Bourn. And he hits one deep to right. Duda goes back, takes a look. That ball's out of here. Michael Bourn with a 3-run homer. And the Braves lead at 4-0. For Bourn, who had just 2 home runs all of last year, that's his second home run of the spring. And he hit it against the wind, a ton to right field.
Well, unable to turn the double play, and it's cost 3 runs for Chris Swindon. And he gets on top of this ball. That's not just enough of the plate where he can be quick enough to get the barrel through. But boy, he really tomahawked that one.
So 4-0 Atlanta. Here's Jack Wilson. And he takes a strike. Wilson struck out his first time up.
Boy, Keith, you did not miss it. It's those little things. The turning of the double play is so large at this level of the game. Changes the whole inning around.
I do like this. I like the fact that the Mets have been very expressive with their bunt defense this spring. They've been trying a lot of different things. And, you know, Schwinden makes a mistake that costs him 3 runs. But from a team standpoint, the very fact that they're mixing in that wheel play a little bit, I think, is a big plus for this team. Wilson grounds out to Turner. The inning over, but the 3-run homer by Bourn makes it 4-0. Bring the family to Citi Field with a Mets Power Pack for just $22. Your ticket includes a hot dog or burger, fries, and a soft drink. Visit Mets.com now for your Power Pack tickets. Mike Davis leads off the home second. And he takes a strike from Buddy Carlisle. Mike hitting 229 on the spring. Hit his first home run of the spring the other day. But I think most importantly is going out there day after day, having no ill effects from the ankle injury last year or from the Valley Fever scare from earlier this spring.
And what I saw from him in that game, hit the 3-run home run and had hit the ball hard the other way twice. He's drawn around 7 walks. He looks good at the plate. In the hits, 229. You know, who cares? I just look what I see him at the plate, his approach. He looks really like he's ready to go.
Yeah. He and Duda have been the most impressive to me as far as their at-bats.
It's going to lead to an interesting conversation about the Mets batting order as the season progresses, as Ike takes a call third strike. If Davis and Duda get off to the kind of starts that, you know, that reflect what they've been doing so far this spring.
Yeah.
And Jason Bay continues to struggle. Would Terry be willing to bat his 2 lefties back-to-back in the batting order?
I think he would be, and I would not have a problem with it because of one reason. Both Ike and Duda have a very good approach against left-handers. They are not easy outs for a lefty.
Here's Duda. He hits the first pitch well out to left field with the following wind. Hinske back, and it's out of here. Lucas Duda goes the other way. His 4th home run of the spring. And the Mets are on the board. It's 4-1 Atlanta. We've seen it all spring, the prodigious power that Duda has to all field. Might have gotten a little boost from the breeze, but that was well struck.
Well, he did, but who cares? It's a home run, and it's a big bomb in the paper tomorrow.
That's right.
He'll take it. I'm sure this would have been a fly ball. Got under it a little bit. Good swing, though. Just got under it, but that wind's going to carry it right out. It's fourth bomb.
The ball game you guys did on Saturday, where you hit that line drive 3/4 the way up the center field wall. I have not seen that very often.
That ball was around 10 feet from going over the backdrop.
That's right.
On a line drive.
There's Adam Lowen. Lowen playing left field today. And if everybody is healthy, then it comes down to Lowen or Mike Baxter for a job as a backup left-hand hitting outfielder. Chopper. In comes Simmons and makes the toss for the second out.
And Baxter's had himself a very nice spring. He's hit the ball well. He's stolen some bases.
I think he's a more capable player to play center field if you needed a guy in center than Lowen.
There's Ronnie Cedeno with 2 out. Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting question. If Torres is not ready to go opening day, would it be Scott Hairston to play center field if he's ready? Would it be Mike Baxter?
It would be my guess, Gary. I know we're not supposed to be doctors up here, but you know, I had a calf problem when I was in Cleveland, and I told you right away they're tough injuries, and I just don't think he's going to be ready for opening day.
I think it's also yeah, and I also think it's hard to ask a player who's been out almost all the spring training in the last week he's going to play and then have to play the demands of center field.
He hasn't even run yet, so I think at this point it's not even a debatable issue.
Correct.
Until he can go out there and run, there's every reason to think that Torres is not going to be ready.
Yep.
On the other hand, Hairston, who when he first got hurt looked like there was no chance he was going to be ready opening day, all of a sudden he's playing a game on the minor league side today and might be in a major league game as soon as tomorrow, and it looks like Scott may very well be ready, which is certainly a positive.
I got to think of that group of 4 right there. Dendecker is the best defensive guy out there, but he's not hitting. He's young. I'd be less inclined to put him on the big league level and get him demoralized offensively.
Cedeno hits one out to right. Easy for Hayward, and that ends the inning. But the Mets get on the board. Lucas Duda with his 4th home run of the spring. 2nd of the 4 that he's hit the other way. Duda out to left, and it's 4-1 Atlanta after 2. Third inning against Chris Schwinden, and takes ball one. Freeman worked out an 11-pitch walk in the opening inning and scored on Eric Hinskey's double. Fastball misses, and it's 2-0.
That's another thing about Freeman. He's got a very good eye at the plate. When you have a good eye at the plate, you get to hit 2-0 and 3-1 a lot.
Low and across the line, but that's out of play.
You know what's interesting is that 3 spring trainings ago, Jason Hayward had a spring training where everyone was saying he's going to be the next Willie McCovey. And there were some people in the Braves organization saying, well, Hayward's a pretty good player and he's a great athlete, but wait till you see Freeman. And everyone scoffed and said, no way that Freeman can be better than Hayward. Well, who knows now?
Actually, when Darryl came up, he reminded me of Willie McCovey. Yeah. Everybody said Ted Williams, and I said, no, you mind, it's Willie McCovey, because when Willie McCovey came up, McCovey played left field. Cepeda was at first, Orlando, and McCovey was a big, tall, screen bean, and then he filled out like Darryl did.
Yeah. And Freeman's aboard for the second time. Second straight inning, the Braves have got the leadoff man on, and things have not gone well for Schwinden. Up over 60 pitches now. The Mets are going to get the bullpen cranking. Now here's Hinskey, who drove a double against the wind out to right center his first time up. And that brought home the game's first run. Well, it's nice to see Garrett Olson up in the Mets bullpen, because a couple of days ago, Olson was pitching in a minor league game, and on a sharp one-hopper back to the mound, made that instinctive reach with his pitching hand and got nailed. Fortunately, it was on the meaty part of his hand, and he didn't have to miss any time. But with Tim Burdack unlikely to be ready for opening day, even though Burdack is making a remarkable recovery from knee surgery. The Mets' options for that lefty out of the bullpen have been dwindling. And we might see all 3 of the remaining options in this game today, with Olson and Danny Herrera and Josh Edgin all scheduled to pitch.
Burdack had the same surgery that Chipper Jones just had, right, recently, the meniscus.
Same knee, also left knee, and he hopes to be throwing off the mound, I think tomorrow. Wow. Hopes to be in a minor league game by Friday, which would be remarkable.
Well, arthroscopic surgery has changed everything as far as that surgery is concerned out on the cartilage. I have a nice 5-inch zipper on my right knee. When I had the meniscus surgery back in 1973, they didn't have that technology. It's the most painful thing I ever did when I woke up out of that surgery.
I had that.
Where's the morphine?
I was screaming at the nurse.
3-1 to Hinskey.
That was painful.
Well, you're right. I mean, I had that surgery in November, and 3 days later was on the treadmill. So it's a lot less intrusive and invasive than it once was. But still, Tim Burdack's a 37-year-old professional athlete. It's not all that easy to come back so quickly. I mean, Chipper is hoping to play. He had his surgery yesterday. He's hoping to play in 3 weeks in the Braves home opener, which means he'll miss opening day at Citi Field.
See, Gary, you would have been a gamer if you were a player. You would have had your surgeries in the offseason when you're supposed to. Not miss a game. No DL time.
I held out. Looked with that bad knee all season last year. There goes the runner, and it's stroked out to left field. And Lowen is there waiting for it. That's the first out, and Freeman back to third. So 1 out and 1 on. David Ross coming up. While Chipper Jones is not going to make opening day, Miguel Cabrera says that he will after that bloody mess after taking the ground ball off his face and suffering a fractured orbital bone.
That's a bad hop.
Tell you what, the Tigers could be maybe the most complete team in baseball.
Boy, they look good, huh?
They've got to get that young center fielder Jackson just to hit a little better, put the ball in play a little better.
Got to make some contact.
Yeah. Because he's got all the tools.
There's R.A. Dickey.
Yeah, he made it look easy over there on the minor league field.
Freeman takes off. Ross hits it in the hole. Cedeno's going to have to make the jump toss. Not quite in time. And Ross has an infield hit.
Seen a lot of hitting and running going on here in spring training so thus far. A nice play by Cedeno here, showing a strong arm. Derek Jeter there, but just not quite enough.
And that's going to be it for Chris Schwinden, with the left-hand hitter Hayward coming up. Terry Collins will take the opportunity to bring in Garrett Olson to see what he can do against the left-hand swingers. So Schwinden's afternoon comes to an end. Pitching change. We'll be right back. Chris Schwinden out after 2 1/3 innings, and the veteran left-hander Garrett Olson, trying to win a spot in the Mets bullpen, comes on.
Well, Terry Collins has used him, as you see. This is his 8th game. He's only given up 1 run in his outings.
Brought in to face Jason Hayward with 2 men on, and he pours it over for a strike. Hayward singled to right, scored a run his first time up. Garrett Olson, originally a first-round draft pick by the Orioles. Spent time in the big leagues with Baltimore, Seattle, last year briefly with Pittsburgh. Back-to-back breaking balls to get ahead on Hayward 0-2.
Left-handers in camp so far for the Mets, very thematic, aren't they? They're guys that come in and have a good breaking ball that they use often.
Now Olson with the 0-2. And Hayward fouls off the fastball.
The thing about Hayward, 2 seasons ago when he got off to that quick start, Buster Posey just edged him out of Rookie of the Year. He used to hit line drives to left field, and that has not been the case. And I don't know whether it's some of the injuries he's sustained, but he used left field as well as any young hitter I had seen in a long time.
I thought when he came back with the shoulder, I thought his swing was altered a bit, and I thought he maybe was having some difficulty pain-wise with the shoulder, and it affected his swing a little bit. And maybe I've been watching closely, just seeing if he started pulling off last year. And I thought I saw it early in spring. You know, sometimes you get in a bad habit with an injury. You play and you change, you start altering your swing because of the pain, and then you get in a bad habit. So this is something to really watch carefully this year with this young man.
And you wonder, too, because last year when he was sitting out with the shoulder injury, Chipper Jones made some very public comments about how they needed to have Hayward in the lineup. And that one either hit his bat or his hand, and they're going to say that it hit him. And the bases will be loaded, but Hayward feeling some pain. Terry Collins is coming out to, I think, object to the call by the home plate umpire, Chris Conroy.
Well, number one, did it hit him? And number two, did he swing? And did it hit the bottom of the bat?
You know, it's interesting. You can always make the argument. A lot of the players today cup that bat at the bottom where their kind of edge of their hand is enveloped over the butt of the bat. So almost any time it hits the butt of the bat, it's also going to hit hand too.
He didn't swing, that's for sure. So if it hit him, that's the right call.
Yeah, we were talking about last year when Hayward was sitting on. Chipper Jones said very publicly that he was kind of intimating that Hayward was taking too much time coming back. And I wonder whether, A, whether he came back too quickly as a result of that, and B, whether that has had an impact on his offense since then. His two sudden swings and misses.
Now, if I remember correctly, he made that comment when he was rehabbing in the minor leagues. He wasn't up with the club at the time.
No, he wasn't. He was
right, so
still out.
How does, Chipper know? That's my question. And being the veteran and the leader of that team, was that information filtered down from the front office to be expressed by the leader of the team?
Well, if it has been, Chipper has done that before. It's not only Hayward. He's made comments like that before, and it's interesting and ironic to me because of the time he spends on the disabled list. But regardless of that, I think that it wasn't only Chipper. There was a lot of rumblings in that clubhouse on whether Hayward should play at 60, 70, 80%.
So then the question is, as a 21-year-old kid, which is what he was last year, what kind of impact does that have on you?
Start not trusting anybody. Start not trusting your teammates. And that's not a good place to be.
Drew Sutton.
Fishing for a bad one.
Switch hitter. Got a base hit as a left-hand batter his first time up against Schwindon. Now batting with the bases loaded and one out. Wilson overpowering him.
Interesting. Ike Davis playing in at first base. Everybody else on the infield is back.
What do you think that is?
I don't understand it. I mean, to me, you see Ike right there. Look at David Wright.
Especially because Sutton's been late on all fastballs thrown by Olsen. Is it preference, Keith? Does Ike not like to play behind the runner?
No. I think he's been told by the bench. And, one out right now, I'd have him back. Base hit blows this game wide open. I would be willing to
try to turn two.
Yep.
Well, it looks from where he's playing as though
he's
coming home.
He's in. He's coming home.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, he doesn't have to. He has a choice.
Little bloop. In comes Duda. Slide. And he picked it off. Nice play by Lucas Duda, kicking up divots as he goes. And the runners are forced to hold.
Well, this is a tough play for the third base runner on third base. And the runner on third, Freeman, I think correctly goes halfway down the line because you just don't know your read is with Lucas's strong arm, and he pop slides here.
That's right. It's equivalent of a pop slide.
Right.
So he's ready to throw.
So he made the right move, Freeman, of coming halfway down the line.
Nicely done by Duda. We were talking before about where he should play, in or back. It was beautiful. In made good sense for him there. So now two out, and the shortstop and Jolton Simmons with the bases still full. Smacks one to short. Cedeno is right there, and so Garrett Olson comes out of the bullpen and gets the job done and keeps the Braves off the board in the third. It's still 4-1. Ball in the third inning. Mike Nickius will lead off against Buddy Carlisle. Dickey is trying to secure the backup catcher's job, hitting .217 on the spring after a strong start. But there's nothing in Mike's history that would suggest that he's going to produce anything offensively. He's 29 years old, lifetime .237 hitter in the minors with 29 homers in 8 years. So whatever he gives you offensively, you have to consider a bonus.
Well, he's lost a little bit of weight, got himself in shape. He worked in the offseason with Dave Hudgens about getting his shorter path of his bat, but he hasn't got a lot of bat speed. And how do you teach bat speed? You come up a certain way, and that's the way you hit. The guy with a slow bat, I think you have to have him choke up.
Well, the Mets made the concerted choice to emphasize defense in their backup catcher this year. Whether it's going to be Nickius or Rob Johnson, it's going to be somebody who is better defensively than Ronnie Polino was last year. Polino was clearly a much better offensive player.
Well, your backup catcher, although he doesn't play, plays such a pivotal role because it's a guy that you can bounce ideas off if you're the #1 catcher. You take part in these endless meetings that you have to try to devise a game plan, and if you have a person that really knows that part of the game, you can really help.
Well, been right on the hands of Nickius.
Ronnie always notices when hitters get jammed badly.
Why do you think that is?
He always gives me an elbow, folks. And I have to sit here and take it. It happened to me a few times, too.
It doesn't happen that often.
Do you guys ever face each other in a game?
No. Never.
I don't even believe I faced Keith in spring training.
I don't think you did.
Oh, right. Ripped foul. Would have been very interesting, wouldn't it? How would you have pitched him anyway?
It would have been my weakness against his strength, because my strength was the ball away and sinking, and Keith devoured pitchers like that. I would have had to at some point try to pop him in. I would have had to try to get inside, and that was not my strength.
I mean, when you say get inside, you mean really get inside?
Well, I'd dress him a couple times. Yeah. No. I'd have to try to pitch him inside, because he would work middle of the plate away off me. And that was his throw. I think it was your strength.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would have had a hard time getting him out. And he would lay off that split finger in the dirt. I'd be 2-0, 2-1 every count. And he'd hit a bullet somewhere. Hopefully someone would catch it.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with you.
I didn't think you were going to put up a whole lot of argument. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Nickius. And he hits that one well out to center, but there is Bourn lining it up. 1 out.
I do remember the second spring after Doc's rookie year that I faced Doc in an inter-squad game. And I was very much not ready. And his fastball, he threw me a fastball down the middle, and I remember it mesmerized me. It was just like it was throwing hard, yeah. But it was on you.
He didn't look like he was throwing hard.
Rush, because he had that easy, beautiful, easy motion. And he jammed me. And hit a little weak 4-3 on your scorecard.
Just in spring training, when you're going against your better pitchers, you just want to get out of the cage. That's all you want to do.
Healthy.
Yeah.
0-2 to Garrett Olson.
Sid is the one on that staff that people would shake their heads and just couldn't understand why they could not hit a fastball from Sid. I'm sure you got guys at first base that will come down and say, I just can't catch up to him.
Everybody said he was of all your pitchers, and they're all good. How many guys said, I can't figure Sid out? They just could not pick him up. Sid was the funkadelic of the staff.
He used to call it the curve that is seldom swung at, because it was so slow.
Well, he had that strange delivery where it looked like he was pitching uphill.
Yeah.
Another fine trade. There's Sid's numbers. Another great trade by Frank Cashin.
That's right.
You were one of them too.
Bob Baylor winning that deal to the Dodgers.
And
Carlos
Diaz, Mr. Curveball.
That's right. He had a few names.
Yes.
We won't get into it.
Driven to center by the pitcher Olson. And Bourn picks it off in the second half.
You know, I was talking to Joe McIlvaine, of course, who had a big part in those teams in the 80s. He was downstairs with Mr. Bill Keynes, who both of them now with Seattle. Bill's been there forever. And Joe now with the Seattle Mariners. And he said the reason they got Sid Fernandez is that Tommy Lasorda did not like Sid. And Joe knew that and said, one of the winter meetings, he said, hey, listen, why don't we trade our Hawaiian for your Hawaiian? Because Carlos Diaz was from Hawaii also. And they threw Bob Baylor in later, and that was able to get Sid.
Sid got in the doghouse with his weight problems with Lasorda. Oh. Tommy, hypocrite.
Tommy didn't have a perfect track record. He also thought Pedro Martinez would never be a starting pitcher.
That's right.
Traded him for Delano DeShields.
How about the fight he had with Sutcliffe? That's why Sutcliffe was traded to the Cubs.
A little bloop, but not a fall for Valdespin, a 2-out single. So Danny Valdespin has the Mets' second hit. Sutcliffe went to
Cleveland first, and then of course,
Cubs.
What did he do? Win 15 in a row, won 61.
Yeah.
Well, you know what precipitated that trade was that Sutcliffe had the great rookie year. And then the second year, and then the second year wasn't so good, and he went in Lasorda's office and got in a big argument with him. He was unhappy, and he flipped Lasorda's desk, is what the story was told to me. And that got him aced out to Cleveland. In a heartbeat.
He's a little headstrong.
Well, Cleveland was the place you got traded there. They were trying to bury you.
Turner takes it low. Valdespin taken off and steals the base uncontested. His third stolen base of the spring. Valdespin stole 37 in the minors last year.
I'm telling you, keep an eye on this kid. I think he's got a future ahead of him.
So the question is for Valdespin, where is he best this year? Is he best playing every day at AAA, or is he best subbing at the big league level?
Playing every day. It's my feel.
Because right now the Mets are pretty much set with backup infielders with Cedeno and Turner. But you never know what's going to transpire in the course of the season.
No, they've monkeyed around with him a little bit in center field, but I can't imagine that they would open the season with him as your everyday center fielder. I just can't see that.
Yeah, not enough experience.
Right. But he's got a world of talent. And I like the way he swings the bat. He can run.
24 years old and had a breakout season last year. Both in terms of his production, but also in terms of his maturity.
Yes. I know when we sit up here and watch players in spring training, you know, the numbers from their minor league seasons are important. But more important, when you see a guy like Valdespin, he's got skills. He can run, he can field. He does a lot of great things on the field to make you win or help you win.
Hey, last year when the Mets had an open tryout at second base, he was the most impressive second baseman in camp. He just didn't have the experience to be even considered at that point. It's going to be a trivia question of long standing. People are going to ask who was the Mets opening day second baseman in 2011.
I think they only have one more year left to remember.
Out to right center, and Bourn back. Makes all three putouts in the inning. By the way, that was Grant Enos for those of you scoring at home. 4-1 Braves after 3. Garrett Olson came on in the 3rd inning, got a couple of big outs to get the Mets out of a jam after hitting Jason Hayward with a pitch. He'll stay on to pitch the 4th, and Buddy Carlisle will lead off for Atlanta. Michael Bourn and then Jack Wilson to follow. Braves got an RBI double from Eric Hinsky in the 1st inning, a 3-run homer from Bourn in the 2nd. Lucas Duda homered for the Mets in the bottom of the 2nd, and that got us here 4-1 Atlanta in the 4th. And Carlisle takes a strike. We mentioned earlier that R.A. Dickey had thrown 8 innings in a minor league game today. This was rather an emotional day for R.A. because not only did he pitch in that game, as Carlisle grounds one to Cedeno for the 1st out, but excerpts from his upcoming book, Wherever I Wind Up, appeared today. And among the excerpts that were released today was a passage in which R.A. reveals publicly for the first time that he was sexually abused as a child. And you can only imagine how difficult and painful it must have been for R.A. to make those things known publicly. Michael Bourn back to base it up the middle. And before the game today, after he pitched and before this game started here, R.A. spoke with reporters about just why he decided to go public.
I started writing the book in 2005, and it was too painful then to write it, so I set it down for a couple of years until I felt like I had the equipment to be able to hold it well and talk about it in an effort not only for my own catharsis but as a possibility to help other people. So sure, it's been difficult, but I feel like I'm okay with it.
In the excerpt, R.A. talks about keeping the secret for some 25 years before he finally revealed it to his wife a few years ago. And, you know, as he said there to reporters, finally made the decision to write the book and just lay out the entire truth. And I can't even imagine how difficult and painful that has to be.
Well, I will have to say that it's, you know, whenever I think of R.A., I think about him not only as a player that we have to talk about, but I'll always think about him also as a human being and what a humanitarian he has become on this for the New York Mets, but also around the country with his, of course, ascent of Kilimanjaro. And always so proud of him, even maybe more prouder now.
Bourn steals the base as Wilson swings through the pitch.
Maybe it's, I don't know, it's not comforting maybe, but, you know, Keith, I wouldn't speak for Keith, but in my time, it would be very difficult for a man to talk about those things, and maybe things have got to a point where a man like R.A. can talk about those things, and I think that's great because he has an opportunity to help a lot of people.
And I think at the end of the day for him, there's, as he said, there's a catharsis involved, but there's also the opportunity to let, you know, the kid today who's going through the same thing know that, hey, you're not alone in this, and maybe open up some lines of communication. But I'll also say this, you know, R.A. is so interesting on so many levels. It's going to be an incredible book to read.
Yes.
Because you know, there were a few other excerpts that were released today about his decision to go full time with the knuckleball, about, you know, finding a syringe in a clubhouse bathroom, that kind of thing, as that ball gets away from Dickey and Bourn goes over to third. But there's so much else to his life that you know is going to be in that book that it's going to be a fascinating read. Not to mention the fact that he wrote it with one of the real terrific writers around the New York journalistic scene, Wayne Coffey.
Yes.
So looking forward to getting my copy.
Well, not many true Renaissance men left, but he's one of them.
Infield comes in, 2-2 to Wilson, and he fouls that one off the mitt. So a single, a stolen base, and a wild pitch, putting Olson in jeopardy. Freddie Freeman waiting on deck. And Wilson works the count full.
Trying to make the ball club here with Garrett Olson, and Ronnie mentioned it last inning. He's faced the two left-handers he's faced. He hasn't gotten them out, and that's Hayward. He hit with a pitch, and Bourn got a base hit.
Wilson, did he go? Nope, ball four. And so now he'll face another left-hand hitter, and Freddie Freeman, this time in a double play situation. First walk given up by Olson.
Mets are going to move should move the middle infielders back here for two. And David's in kind of a position where in a slow ground ball he can charge and maybe throw out the runner at home. But you got to play back for two.
So now Freeman has walked twice, first and third and one out. And he yanks one foul.
Ooh, nice chip. The ball came right around the mound. Very nice chip.
Again, with Wright way off that line at third base. When I think of Freeman, he's a guy that against a left-hander, although pulling there in that first pitch, can go to left field also.
Down the left field line and foul. And now Olson ahead 0-2.
I guess what I'm really trying to say for 2 innings now is that Freeman hits the ball to all fields, so to have any kind of shift on him makes no sense to me.
What I always like with 2 strikes and a hitter like Freeman who goes up the middle with 2 strikes and goes the other way. Okay, now you shift over a little bit the opposite field. You move your shortstop over, you move your third baseman over a little bit.
Slider away. 1-2 to Freeman. Well, there you see where his hits were apportioned last year.
And he pulled a lot.
Yeah, but that's the majority of his hits to center field and left field.
Yep. So also a left-hander. He has this. He has that. That's why he's hit. He can go the other way, and he can inside out and muscle one out the other way.
Hit .282 in his rookie year last year. 21 home runs. And he's a big, powerful guy. You have to figure eventually he's going to be a 30, 35 home run hitter.
Just that Atlanta field, though, I think that's about as fair as it gets in the National League.
You got to hit it.
Yeah, you really do.
Hit it.
The summer with the humidity, sometimes the ball will travel a little bit, but you hit 30 there as an Atlanta Brave player, you're a home run hitter.
Again, the 1-2 runner goes. It's drilled to center field. Back goes Valdespin. He's there. Runner at third tag. Bourn comes in to score, and it's 5-1 Atlanta. So Freeman drives in the run, getting Bourn home from third.
Another nice at bat for Freddie Freeman.
So now 2 out in the inning, and another left-hand hitter for Olson to contend with. Eric Hinsky, who drilled a double to right center his first time up, 1 for 2 on the day. And again, the Mets put on the full shift against Hinsky, who bluffed a bunt in his first at bat of the day. And pulling off that ball, he pops it up. David Wright, the only man on the left side of the infield, puts it away to end the inning. So the Braves add a run. They lead 5-1. Daniel Murphy joins us from the Mets dugout when we come back. Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo will debate the latest on Tebow and the Jets, plus bring you exclusive Mets player and coach interviews straight from Port St. Lucie. Daily News Live presented by Citi today at 5, only on SNY. David Wright up for the second time as we go to the bottom of the fourth. David in his second game of the spring bounced out to third his first time up.
See how long they go with him today.
He only went 4 innings yesterday, which was 1 more inning than he was supposed to. He talked his way into a 4th inning in the field. And then he was supposed to take the day off, but I guess talked his way back in again.
9 games left.
I'd like to see him get 3 at bats, wouldn't you?
Yes.
It'll be Wright, Davis, and Duda here in the 4th inning. And while they bat, we get a chance to talk with Daniel Murphy from the Mets dugout, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business. Hey, Murph, it's Gary, Keith, and Ron up here. There's been such a focus this spring on getting you ready to play every day at second base. What are your feelings about how the process has gone?
I really feel like we've come a long way. Still have a ways to go, but Tuff's been great working with me. Ronnie Cedeno has really helped me out a lot around the bag as well. And now we're going for, I guess, efficiency and repeatability, if that's a word.
I think it's a new word now.
There we go.
I like the word.
I like it.
Copyright it.
Murph, from an offensive standpoint, now you're hitting in the 2 position. Do you have any different approach that you're hitting in that second spot?
Well, since I fully anticipate our leadoff guys having about a 400 on base percentage, I'd like to shoot that hole this year a little bit more than maybe I have in the past. Again, I think taking pitches and seeing the ball is kind of better suited to my game than really looking to get my damage done early. So to give the guys in front of me a chance to run, and we got this ringer up to the plate right now, so I'll get some good pitches to hit in front of him. I'm looking forward to it.
Dan, you may be called on that 2 spot to hit and run. Do you like to hit and run?
I do actually. It's one of those things I think as a hitter, Keith, that just missed it. That anytime we get a hit and run, it kind of takes all the thought process out. Just get above something, drive it down through the ground, and then really take some of the pressure off you as a player.
Well, Murph, as the second most interviewed athlete from Jacksonville, New York athlete from Jacksonville, I was just wondering if the new configuration at Citi Field, does that play into any of your game?
I won't look, I don't think, to hit more home runs, but I will say that after hitting on field 7, I think that hopefully a couple more of my doubles may run out of real estate out there. It's my hope. But the guys that are going to do the real damage is the guys that just got done. Davis got done, Ike, and we've already seen what Lucas Duda can do. So I think, as far as me, I'm going to continue to try to hit the ball hard as many times as I can and set the table for these guys.
Murph, I want to go back to playing second base for just a moment. Because your season has been interrupted by injury around the bag the last couple of years, what's the most important thing you've learned about staying safe around the bag?
Jumping. No, that's the last thing my brother told me when I left. He said, why don't you learn how to jump? But no, I think that one of the biggest things is putting myself in a position to be protected, and that's what Tuff and I have really been working on. I'm a little bit bigger for the position, so I've really had to learn how to stay low, stay in my legs, and learn how to throw the ball and kind of get to my front side a little bit instead of throwing it and going backwards, which is kind of the way I got hurt in Buffalo a couple years ago.
Murph, thanks very much for taking the time.
Oh, guys, thanks for having me.
Good luck to you.
Thanks, Murph. Good luck, Murph.
Daniel Murphy joining us from the Mets dugout. I think that the progress has been noticeable this spring. He looks, more comfortable, especially turning the double play and learning how to get out of the way. And frankly, as long as he can stay safe and keep his bat in the lineup, I think the Mets will be happy.
And the positioning, of course, is going to mean there's less movement for him, full speed around the bag. He's going to be there in plenty of time to be able to make that turn.
He's looked, as spring training has progressed, less robotic, Gary. He was more robotic in the beginning, and now he looks a little more comfortable, more natural.
Ike's called out on strikes for the second time today, 2 out of the inning. And Lucas Duda, who homered his first time up, will come to bat. I think the one thing you don't worry about, Murph, is his offense. I think he's proven over, the fits and starts of his major league career, which is really what it's been over the last 3 years, that he is a big league hitter and a guy who can hit 300 regularly in the big leagues. There's Duda.
Opposite field.
What can he do?
Fourth home run for that man this spring.
I know that when Jeff Kent made the transition from early in his career, they had him at third base, and then he started positioning to second. It took him some time before he became a very capable second baseman. He got to the point where really it was his positioning that was his strength. He didn't really move around the field too much, but he would position himself in the best places.
What I also noticed about Jeff over the years is he was rather fearless at second base.
Yeah.
He stood in there and didn't get out of the way, and yet didn't seem to get hit hard.
Well, he you know, he's another guy that would be closer to the bag. He would get there in plenty of time, get rid of the ball, and he also was an ornery kind of character too. He had, you know, he's the kind of guy that would, you know, that he'd drop his arm at some point and throw one right at you if you didn't get down.
Parnell up in the Mets bullpen after Garrett Olson went an inning and 2/3,
having himself a fine spring.
And I think Jeff Kent is proof that as a second baseman, if you can hit, then adequate defense is good enough. I mean, Jeff Kent's going to the Hall of Fame one of these days.
Well, if you drive in 120 runs, 150, 110 like he did, you're going to find a spot for somebody for that man.
Well, some of that is hitting next to Barry Bonds in the lineup for half a dozen years.
Well, you know what made it look easier was the second baseman for the Cardinals all those years, Tommy Herr. You know, he's a guy that would just stand at that second base, make the turn, and not even move because he just had that way about him.
Ball 4 and Duda's on with a walk.
And Tommy, till he hurt his knee, but could cover some ground also.
Yeah, by the time Hurd came to the Mets, he was, I'd say, somewhat diminished as a defensive player.
Hurd had a year, didn't he have 8 home runs and maybe 100 RBI?
He did, hitting third.
Yeah,
he took my spot. That was the year after I was traded.
That's right, and they had Coleman.
Just think about it.
Coleman
if I hadn't been traded with those speedsters in front of me, oh my word. It worked out all the.
Let me see. Speedster,
it worked out good.
Yeah.
With Coleman and those guys hitting in front of me.
No regrets, though.
Absolutely not.
Got off that turf.
Yes, I did. Got to New York.
I think Willie McGee got a batting title that year. Didn't he have about 354, 350 something in '85?
That's right, you did.
Yeah, right.
It was 353.
That was real. It was real good.
Adam Lowen bounced to short his first time up. That'll sail out of play.
We got to know Willie a little bit after we had stopped playing. We lived in Northern California in about the same place, and didn't realize what a nice human being he is.
He's one of the greatest guys.
Wow.
What a wonderful man he is.
1985, Willie hit 353.
I was right.
216 hits, including 18 triples. Out to left field, and Eric Hinske drifting back as the wind grabs it. Half a step or two from the wall, able to make the catch. After 4, 5-1 Atlanta. 57. Got to watch him pitch a little bit yesterday down in Jupiter, and it was fascinating watching Johan yesterday as Bobby Parnell gets set to pitch the 5th inning. It was clearly not his best outing in the spring. In the 1st inning, his mechanics were completely messed up. Could not throw anything where he wanted to. But you watch a guy with that kind of self-understanding, able to get himself back into a groove, figure out what he was doing wrong, and throw 4 pretty credible innings after that. It just gives you an idea of the level of pitching acumen with which he goes to the mound every time, regardless of how hard he's throwing the ball.
You know what's interesting is that lesser pitchers with that kind of stuff, that would have been one of those 6, 7, 8 run games, but he just refuses to do that. And coming off this injury, it's going to be interesting as we've seen his spring really run one not so good start there on the 16th. Coming off an injury, a little older now, there are going to be some games where the bullpen is meant to be getting loose. There's going to be some games that it's going to be hard for him to get loose, and he'll have to figure it out like he did yesterday.
Yesterday was the first time this spring that he's ever said publicly, I wasn't at my best. And really from the naked eye, I think it was the only time that he hasn't really been at his best. But I think the point you make is a good one. And Sandy Alderson, when the Mets signed Chris Young yesterday, made the point that, and because Chris had the same surgery that Johan had, said, look, the one thing that we understand now is that everybody's going to come back from this surgery differently, and there's no way of knowing exactly what the pathway is going to be. And I think in many ways, particularly with Chien-Ming Wang on the sidelines for the moment for Washington, Santana is going to be a case study for anybody who's trying to figure out how a pitcher comes back from this capsule surgery that he and Wang and Chris Young have all had.
It might be Randy Neiman's chance to get in a medical journal, right?
Check swing. That's a fair ball, and Dickey throws out Ross for the first out.
And don't forget, this time of year, you hear it occasionally, you fans at home, and we talk about it. But that dead arm period will happen late in spring training. Usually the start before your last start, you'll go out there and just don't have it. And it'll happen for the pitchers that have not had an injury.
So Cody Guerin up in the bullpen for the Braves. Meanwhile, Jason Hayward stands in. Got hit by pitches last time up from Garrett Olson. It stung, but he stayed in the game. Meanwhile, Parnell is having himself a spectacular spring. It began with Bobby pitching in an intra-squad game right at the beginning of March and getting lit up to the point where he was beside himself at how poorly he pitched in that game. But since then, he has kicked it in gear and has really turned some heads this spring.
Well, he's pitching, not throwing. If you notice the way he's going about it, it's not 98, 99. Right. It's 92, 93 on the corner. Little sinking action. And, of course, that knuckle curve has really helped him that he learned from Isringhausen late in the season last year.
So he pops the outside corner fastball around 91, 92, and he just pumped him inside around 95. So that's pitching smart.
Hayward fouls that one back, and it's 2-2.
Just think for when I watched Bobby on Saturday, he pitched here. You guys were doing the game, and I was lucky enough to be down there just watching the pitchers. And it wasn't that overexertion. It wasn't that trying to break throw the ball through the catcher. It was executing pitches, working with Nickias, moving the ball inside and out. He gets ahead, it's like knuckle curve in the dirt, have the hitter swing over it.
No more Bobby 100.
Yeah.
As the breaking ball is fouled off.
Well, I always worry, too, though, from my experience as a hitter, that young guys that come up that throw bullets and then they back them off a little bit on their fastball, and they're a little bit wild with their fastball, but they're far more difficult a little bit wild. And when they back off, there's a fine line how much you back off. If you back off too much, if you can become
ordinary.
Yes, and that's my only concern. Now he's having a great spring, but it's spring now, and I love Bobby Parnell's arm. He's a good kid, and he's an important part of this club.
Breaking ball ripped to right, but right at Duda. So he threw 3 straight breaking balls. And Hayward lines out to right for the second out.
3 straight breaking balls, and even more importantly, 1 on a 3-2 count.
Well, I'll say this about Parnell. When spring training began, he had an option remaining, and he still does. And there was every reason to think that he was going to have to struggle to make this ball club. Now, with 9 days to go till opening day, there's no question he's going to be on this ball club. 2 out, nobody on. Here's Drew Sutton, who's 1 for 2. Almost 2 for 2, but Duda made a nice sliding catch to take a base hit away from him with a couple of men on in the third. And that just misses. 2-0. Bobby has pitched with the Mets parts of each of the last 4 years, including that ill-fated attempt in 2009 to turn him into a starter. Hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Duda, back toward the corner, and it lands and bounces for a ground rule double. So Drew Sutton has his second hit of the game.
Thought it jammed him a little, didn't it? Out over the plate, down towards the end a little bit. And it's up in the strike zone. That's a wheelhouse. I got to believe if the wind's not blowing out to the left, that ball would have been out.
For Parnell, that's only the 5th hit he's allowed in 8 innings of work this year. He still has not allowed a run. But Sutton in scoring position with 2 out. And now Andrelton Simmons, who is 0 for 2. And the breaking ball in the dirt, blocked by Nickius.
Nicely blocked by Nickius.
I think Bobby's had such a good spring. One thing I would do if you're the manager or pitching coach, that he's had a lot of free and easy innings, Gary and Keith. And I think that as you get closer to the end, maybe bring him in with a couple guys on or the bases loaded and see under those circumstances if he's still able to throw free and easy.
We saw Josh Edgin up in the bullpen. 2-0 now to Simmons. Matt Diaz is out on deck. He'll pinch hit if Simmons keeps the inning going.
Interesting to see what kind of swing this young man takes on a 2-0 count.
Pickoff try, and it's into center field. He might have had a shot at Sutton with a good throw, but that was a terrible throw by Bobby Parnell, sending Sutton over to third.
Ronnie, you're the pitcher. Well, what is your key here?
The Mets have tried a lot of pickoffs this spring. The key is for a pitcher, there's 2 things. One, when you make that turn, you got to get all the way around. You got to get 180 degrees around. He got about 95, 100, and that way that your arms go right to center field. And the other thing, as a pitcher, remember this, guys, you don't have to throw the baseball. So once you spin and you don't have it, just hold on to it.
Isn't it in your mind, though, that the timing's right?
Yeah.
You just throw the bag.
Yes.
It's the second baseman's job or the shortstop to get there.
You want to throw it low and on the bag.
2-0 now to Simmons with a runner at third as a fastball strike. Simmons, native of Curacao, which has done a nice job supplying the Atlanta Braves. Andrew Jones.
That's right.
Jair Jurgens.
I think Andrew has, after all his successes, put a lot of money back into the youth programs there in Curacao.
I remember watching a feature on a youth team from Curacao playing in Little League World Series or something like that, and they asked each player who was your favorite player. Every single one of them said Andrew Jones. Shocker, right?
Right.
Here's a 3-1 for Parnell, and Simmons fouls it off.
Interesting choice of pitches there. 3-1 count, and they came inside to Simmons.
Cody Guerin up in the bullpen for the Braves. So he's got a shot to make their team.
3-2 breaking ball.
Go after him.
He does. David Wright has the one hopper. Parnell has another scoreless inning. It's 8 1/3 scoreless for Parnell. We're halfway through. 5-1 Atlanta.
Home fifth inning. Ronnie Cedeno leads off against Buddy Carlisle, who's gone all the way for Atlanta. And Cedeno takes the curveball. Ronnie flied out to right his first time up. That's only run coming on a Lucas Duda home run in the second inning. And Carlisle gets ahead 0-2. Cedeno playing shortstop today. Ruben Tejada has not only been playing shortstop every day, but with the absence of Andres Torres, has been leading off most days. Strike called, and it's 1-2. And I would imagine if Torres is not ready to go opening day, that Ruben Tejada is going to be the leadoff hitter on opening day for the Mets. Cedeno takes one the other way, and he's got a base hit. A good two-out approach by Cedeno, and the Mets have their third hit of the game. The first time they've had the leadoff man on today. Get a one-of-a-kind look at Mets spring training with the latest news from Port St. Lucie, insider info, exclusive interviews, and behind-the-scenes video on Mets blog presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. And with that base hit, Freddie Gonzalez will take the ball from Buddy Carlisle and bring in young Corey Guerin. 5-1 Atlanta. We're in the fifth. We'll come right back to Port St. Lucie. Year-old side armor Corey Guerin coming on to pitch for Atlanta.
Well, Peter Boylan's out their side winder who did such a great job the last few seasons, and Guerin has a chance to make this ball club. Tough on righties. Lefties have their way with him, though.
Got in 18 games with the Braves last year. Mike Dickey just takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Dickey has flied to center his first time up.
There's Daniel.
He gets in the game after he talks to us. I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Want him fully 100% there.
Yeah, normally we get guys on their day off or after they come out of the game.
I was just trying to make fun of Murph because of the press conference yesterday of Mr. Tebow, who's from Jacksonville too. That was quite a spectacle, wasn't it? Wow.
Never has a backup quarterback drawn more media attention.
What did Rex Ryan say?
To the backstop, Cedeno down to second base.
Well, the problem that no one showed up.
Rex Ryan said we didn't trade for him to sit on the bench. That's what his comment. I think he's going to do a little competition in camp this summer.
Well, Tebow said all the right things.
He did.
As did Mark Sanchez from California.
It's not really up to
to Sanchez and Tebow. It's up to you guys sitting in the stands what you're going to say after the first few difficulties.
I know what I'll say. Dickey hits the breaking ball foul down the left side. I'll say the same thing I said when they brought Brett Favre to town. Next.
Such a tough critic here.
Why would
it spills into every aspect of your life?
Why would you give your franchise quarterback a new contract?
I understand.
And then bring in competition?
Well,
how would you do? Especially a guy with that high profile. Be like Craig Morton and Roger Staubach.
There you go.
Remember that? Oh, man.
Remember when Landry alternated them every play for the one game? 1-2 now to Nickius.
And ironically, Morton moved on to Denver. The Orange Crush. Right. They got crushed by Dallas in the Super Bowl.
Staubach turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yes. It's those Naval Academy graduates.
Oh, remember when people thought there was no way that he could have a career after?
That's right. He's too old.
Putting in his 5 years of service.
Well, how about the commander down in San Antonio? Was it San Antonio?
David Robinson?
Yes.
Well, he got to skip.
Yes.
So that was a little different.
He outgrew the plane.
The sub.
He was smart. He applied for submariner duty. They couldn't get him in the can.
Just sardine him in.
Get him into the torpedo tube.
3-2 now to Nickius. And Garrett misses high, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Murph will come up with a couple of men on base as the Mets try and fight back from 4 runs down. Do you think Roger has a high enough profile to qualify for your product?
He could. They discontinued the commercial this year after 8 years. They discontinued.
Are you going to have to find another form of revenue?
No, I'm hooked. I'm going to continue using the product.
Oh, I thought you were hooked like residuals or something.
No.
Oh.
They're taking care of you, I hope.
And the product's not addictive. So trust me.
Glad to hear that. Murphy has to skip out of the way, and it's 2-0, so Garrett having his troubles.
8-year run Wald and I had on that commercial.
That's pretty good.
Hey,
you know, not for nothing, but it was the tall guy who messed me up. You guys were doing fine until they.
Oh, that's right.
Randy.
That's right. Well, you guys were fine with the beard is weird. So we stayed with it.
That's Johan Flande, which is not a dish, up in the Atlanta bullpen. Here's the 2-0 to Murphy, and he yanks one foul. Ground past Tom Goodwin and in the neighborhood of Flande. Cedeno at second. Nickius at first with nobody out. Mets down 5-1 in the 5th. Yesterday, the Mets were shut out for the first 6 innings and then rallied late and beat the Cardinals.
Guerin's all over the place, having a hard time throwing strike. He's trying to make this ball club, and this is not a good outing thus far. He needs a double play, doesn't he?
Looks like he's aiming the ball, but doesn't it, Ron?
The later it gets in spring for guys that are trying to make a team, the more difficult it gets. Start squeezing that baseball.
Now the spin on deck, another left-hand hitter. And there's a walk to Murphy. So Guerin's come in, walked the first 2 batters to face him. And just like that, the Mets will get the tying run to the plate. With Valdespin coming up, Roger McDowell will head to the mound. He's got a left-hander up in the bullpen, but it would appear as though Guerin's going to get one more batter. It's going to be very interesting this year for Freddie Gonzalez and Roger McDowell to see how they use those young relief pitchers, whether they use them as early and as often, talking about Kimbrel and Venters, as they did last year.
And O'Flaherty, too. I mean, that 3-headed bullpen that they used almost, it seemed to me, almost every game. I think what they're going to have to try to do is that, and this is hard for managers, but occasionally you're going to have to say, for the long run, this game is going to have to be the starter's game. He's going to have to win it for himself.
One thing that will help them, I think, this year is that they'll have Chris Medlin healthy all year, because he's a guy who can give them innings out of that bullpen. He was such an underrated presence for them a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he got hurt against the Mets, right?
So now Valdespin, who blooped a single to left center his last time up after flying out to the warning track his first trip. Bases loaded, nobody out. And Valdespin lifts one to right. That should get a run home. Cedeno tags at third. Hayward with the grab. His throw is cut off. Cedeno is in. Nikias goes to third. Valdespin drives in the run. And it's now 5-2 Atlanta.
You know, that's a nice at bat by Valdespin. You know why? Because the pitching coach just went out. A bases are loaded. He's telling his pitcher, you need to throw some strikes. Well, he was ready.
Well, and I think what Rogers said, he took something off that pitch. Maybe he's overthrowing, and he got Valdespin out in front.
Valdespin's history is he does not wait around a whole lot. Last year, 511 at bats, only 25 walks in an RBI situation. Very ready on the first pitch. So now Justin Turner, Nikias, alertly moved to third. And that's got to be Hayward's throw, right?
Yeah.
In that situation. Got a relatively slow runner at Nikias. Toward the hole, and Turner drives in the run. That chases Nikias home to make it 5-3. And so for Justin Turner, who's struggled for most of the spring, this is what he did all of last year. Saved his base hits for RBI situations.
Fastball right down the pipe. A little away. Didn't get much movement, but up.
Well, Turner's had 3 good at bats. A line drive to second base, a real good, well hit ball to center field, and now the base hit.
So now David Wright with the tying runs on base. David has bounced to third and flying to center. Played 4 innings in yesterday's game, so this may well be his swan song for this day, as he gets his spring geared up late. And Guerin throws a strike. Probably be Guerin's last batter. They've got the lefty ready in the bullpen. Ike Davis would be next. Josh Edgin up in the Mets bullpen, getting ready to pitch in the 6th. David takes a slider for a strike, and it's 0-2.
A little more over the top in that delivery with that slider. Not so sidearm. That's a little Western Union, right? If that's the norm.
So now Guerin ahead on right 0-2. As Ross moves away, and he throws it a little too far away. Oh boy! And the wild pitch moves the runners to second and third. Now base hit could tie it.
That's his second wild pitch this inning.
You know, this young man is just pitching tight out there, and what I mean by that is that, you know, he wanted to make sure this 0-2 pitch was not put in play. Well, he made it so his catcher couldn't even make a play.
Now it's 1-2 to right. With 2 in scoring position. David hits it out to right center, chasing over is Bourn to grab it, and that ends the inning. But the Mets get closer as they check it. It's the second out of the inning by mistake. As Murphy comes home and makes it 5-4.
Nice at bat by David.
Yeah, right.
Very
Not trying to do too much.
Very nice.
So that's going to be all for Guerin, and they'll bring the left-hander into the game. And the Braves will make a double switch. An inning that's still going. The Mets have 3 runs home and trail at 5-4. We'll be right back. Changes for the Braves. Tyler Pasternicki comes in to play shortstop, and the new pitcher, left-hander Johan Flande.
19 starts last year in AAA and 33 appearances. An 8-8 record, but 2-0 in spring.
Mike Davis greets him with a two-hopper to short. Pasternicki just into the game, throws him out, and that ends the inning. But the Mets post a 3-spot in the 5th, an inning that is now complete. Valdespin drives in a run with a sac fly. Turner gets one home, and so does David Wright, and it's 5-4 Atlanta. Sixth inning, Lucas May takes over at third base. David Wright, after driving in his first run of the spring, comes out of the game. And Josh Edgin is on to pitch the sixth for New York.
I've been really impressed with Josh Edgin. Last year, of course, had 27 saves in Savannah. Outstanding so far this year in a 6 1/3. No runs given up, 8 punch-outs.
Began the spring in minor league camp with the injury to Tim Burdack. Brought over here to compete for a job and has competed very well. Tyler Pasternicki will get his first at bat for the Braves. Pasternicki appeared to have a lock on the starting shortstop job when spring began, but has not hit, and it's been outplayed defensively by Andrelton Simmons, so both of them getting a look today. Simmons started the game, now Pasternicki in. 22 years old, split his year between AA and AAA last year, and he slaps one foul, and it's 0-2.
Edgin built a little bit like maybe Randy Myers in his day. Stocky left-hander.
6'1", 225. Began his college career at Ohio State, transferred to Francis Marion College in Florence, South Carolina. He blows away Pasternicki for the first out.
That was a ghosted down. Grab some pine. He just threw this one right by him.
You know, you were talking before, Ronnie, about how it gets later in the spring and some pitchers squeeze the ball a little tighter. I don't think we've seen an iota of that from Josh Edgin.
No, I don't think so. And I think, you know, saving games last year, even though it was in single A, big move for Josh. That's what I've liked. He missed there, but he's had shown an outstanding breaking ball against lefties.
Micah Bourn had a nice day with the bat. 3-run homer in the second. Singled, stole a base, scored a run in the fourth. That one crackles in for a strike. It's 1-1.
He pops the outside corner nice on left-handers, and the other side of the plate on the outside corner to right-handers.
He moves the ball around.
We talked before about the Braves shortstop prospect Andrelton Simmons having not played above A ball and maybe will be a starting shortstop. Well, Josh Edgin has not played above A ball. Last year, Savannah and St. Lucie, and yet has a shot to come north with the ball club.
Well, he wasn't even considered until the problems with Burdack came to camp, invited over from March 12th.
But it's also not beyond the realm of possibility that even when Burdack is ready, the Mets might want to keep a second left-hander. Now, Edgin walks Bourn, who's aboard for the third time, and now we'll get to see how he holds a base runner. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., the Mets continue their spring training schedule here in Port St. Lucie as they host the Nationals. Mets Nationals presented by Citi tomorrow at 1 p.m. only on SNY. I think Kevin's back in the fold tomorrow.
He's had some time off. He should be refreshed.
Be sure to tell him that when you see him tomorrow.
Well, you have the day off then. Kevin's up here.
Kevin is with you guys up here.
Oh, nice.
I'll be sitting on the Bourn getting some
you
sun.
are.
And I will be back up here Thursday night. Who's here Thursday?
I'm here Thursday. Yeah.
That's 3 days in a row we have games on.
I know.
That may overtax our crew.
Getting ready for the season.
1-1 to Jack Wilson, who's 0 for 2 in a walk today. Well, if all the games these 3 days are played at the pace of this one, our crew may not make it to opening day. Sparsely populated Bourn today on a gorgeous Tuesday afternoon. Temperature right around 80 degrees, a little breeze blowing. Couldn't ask for a better day.
Now, this is something you want to watch right here, guys. If Edgin gets on this ball club, how does he hold the base runners? One of the best in the National League at first base in Bourn.
Of course, if you're Bourn, you're watching this left-hander for the first time and trying to read his move, get an idea whether you can steal against him.
It's the first time that Edgin's been a little bit, his command hasn't been there.
I'll be one of those chairs tomorrow.
Yeah, look at that contraption.
Edgin's now walked 3 batters in 7 innings this spring. Just misses inside, and it's 3-1 to Wilson.
I got to believe they'll put the runners in motion here.
They have all game long, haven't they?
You got Jack Wilson here, who goes the other way well. Good eye at the plate. Speed on first base.
You know he's getting a fastball.
So Freddie Freeman on deck.
Nope.
Bourn not going, and it's pulled foul.
3-2. I got to believe we'd be going. Oh, look at.
Was that Rack?
Is that Racanelli?
No, it's Eric Langill.
Okay.
Play.
Through the wickets.
Rack sitting. You see Rack sitting there with the sunglasses on?
He's a veteran.
That's exactly right. let the young guy do the work.
That's right. He's already big leaguing.
So now it's 3-2, and you have to figure Bourn, 3-time National League base stealing champ, will be running. And Edgin gives him a look.
It doesn't look like Edgin has much of a move, Ron.
If he does, he could break it out right here. I'll tell you that. Help him get out of this inning.
He's quick home.
Well, if he has the good move to first, we haven't seen it yet.
Spring training, maybe you don't want to show it.
Maybe.
I know if you're Terry Collins, you'd like to see it.
I mean, you don't want to show it to the other team, but you'd like to show it to your manager.
That's right.
If you're trying to make the team. Bourn is not going. Wilson bounces it to third. May gets the out at second. Turner with the turn, and they turn the double play. Outstanding. I can't for the life of me understand why Bourn wasn't running, but the Mets take advantage and turn 2 for Edgin. Keep it
Oh,
that looks like a very friendly way to spend an afternoon.
Really? Where's everybody? They all underneath?
It's just it's a limited crew.
They're all working to pay for it.
Lucas Duda leads off the home 6th inning with the Mets down by a run. Lucas supplied the first Mets run with an opposite field home run. Now facing the young lefty Johan Flande. And John Roush up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch the 7th. After another successful inning for Josh Edgin. 2-1 to Duda, with Adam Lowen and Ronnie Cedeno to follow for the Mets in the 6th. There's Johan Santana, fresh off his 88 pitch effort yesterday down in Jupiter. They'll have one more start before what one assumes will be his opening day assignment, although Terry Collins still has not announced Johan as his opening day starter. Now the Braves have not yet announced their opening day starter either, and there's been a lot of assumption that it was going to be Jair Jurgens to go opening day, but the Braves beat reporter David O'Brien is reporting today that he believes that Tommy Hanson is going to pitch opening day.
Jurgens had a nice effort in yesterday's game. He's had a tough spring, coming off a couple seasons with injuries, and finally had a good effort in yesterday's game.
Well, Hanson, of course, had a very difficult beginning to his spring because while driving to Florida,
got an accident,
he suffered a concussion. Well, his car blew a tire.
Oh.
And he suffered a concussion that kept him out for about 10 days. Of course, he's had the shoulder problems last year. So it would be a nice comeback tell there. But it's also a testament to the fact that the Braves are missing the guy they still consider to be their ace. And that, of course, is Tim Hudson. Breaking ball gets Duda looking for the first out of the inning.
Well, the interesting thing I see, Gary, is that the NL East that had no question marks for a lot of teams coming in to the season has developed a lot during the course of the spring. From the Phillies to the Braves, so on and so on.
Well, certainly for the Phillies, they have to be very concerned about Chase Utley's future. And, we've watched the last couple of years as Utley has struggled with first the hip and then the knee. And we've watched him perform at certainly less of a level than we had been accustomed to seeing. But part of Chase Utley is better than no Utley at all.
And last year, his injury affected his swing. He was not the same hitter.
Wasn't as quick.
And certainly it affected his fielding as well.
Oh, here's a guy that played the game hard. We've seen him with his slides into second base, taking out players. He routinely gets hit by the baseball 25 plus times a year. And maybe that's all taking its toll.
So between the uncertainty about Utley and when and if he's going to be able to play, plus Ryan Howard being out until June, it puts a big crimp into the Phillies' offense.
That's their big one, too. I mean, they're going to have to get a lot of production from some older players like a Jim Thome, and Ty Wigginton, I think, is over there.
Or they can do what they did last year, just lean on their pitchers.
Yeah. Lean on their pitchers, and also, you would hope, as you see the injuries, that both Dominic Brown and Mayberry Jr. Will take the next step forward.
1-2 to Adam Lowen, and he pulls it.
Mayberry had a good year when you look at his numbers.
He did.
He had 14 bombs, maybe 40, 50 ribbies, and 250, 300 at-bats.
Keep my eye on Dominic Brown.
Yeah, you like him, right?
I like him. I'm just going to follow him. I think he's got a chance. Because Mayberry Jr., he's 28 years old.
Yeah, that's the difference, yeah.
Dominic Brown is a young kid.
And, of course, they'll have the guy they consider the shortstop of their future, Freddie Galvis, filling in at second base for as long as Utley is out. And, they love his defense, but whether he's going to hit in the big leagues, they have no idea. Lowen loops one out to right, and on comes Hayward, and he can't get there, and plays it on a hop. And so Lowen has himself a one-out hit. But when you have Halladay and Lee and Hamill at the top of your rotation, and you've got Jonathan Papelbon at the end of the game, you've got a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to win a lot of games 2-1 and 3-2.
You know, they and you know, it's not luck, but you know, they did not sign Ryan Madson. Madson signs a 1-year deal with Cincinnati, and he's gone for the season. So, you know, there's a guy that they were thinking of keeping, didn't.
Well, how about this? It looks as though Brad Lidge might open the season closing games for the Nationals.
The Storm's elbow sore.
And Davies said he's absolutely not going to move Tyler Clippard into the 9th because Clippard is just too important to him pitching the 7th and the 8th. I mean, how many times did we see Clippard come in and shut the Mets out for, you know, 4, 5, 6 outs?
That's right. And he's the kind of guy that can come out and give you, from an earlier in his career, he could give you 3 innings too. He needed it, yeah.
So it's a bit of irony there. You know, they let Madson go, and he's hurt, but they let Lidge go, and he may be closing games against them in April. 1-2 now to Cedeno.
The thing with Lidge has always been just his health. If he's healthy, he strikes everyone out.
Like Nicky is on deck.
I thought the guy that made a step forward for the Phillies last year was the young left-hander Bastardo, who, boy, had a nice year.
On the inside corner, and Cedeno down looking. So Flande has his 2nd strikeout of the inning.
Ronnie thought this was up. What do you think? Well, today's game, yes. But to me, that's not up.
Looked like a strike from here.
If anything, it would have to be inside. Our angle was not precise there. That camera in center field just a little bit off to the shortstop side of second base.
Good Mike Nickius. Nickius has walked and scored, flied out 0 for 1 on the day.
So you couldn't have the cameras directly behind the pitcher because of the batter's eye there.
The pitcher would block your view from home, so it has to be a little off-centered there. Although I remember we did try a camera angle. Our director, Bill Webb, remember the camera angle he had up high over the pitcher, which I loved. I liked that shot. And I pleaded with Bill to keep it, but, you know, that's Bill's domain.
He moves on, you know.
Yeah, he's the boss.
38 Emmys. And counting.
Going to usurp the throne.
You got a long way to go, my friend. Here's the 0-2, and Dickey takes a call, 3rd strike, so Flande leaves 3 batters watching in the inning. Keeps it 1 run in favor of the Braves. Most versatile camera. Be a hero. Go pro.
Next time, remind me. I need a little Dramamine before that spot right there.
I think the product comes with it. John Roush on to pitch for the Mets as we go to the 7th inning. And Freddie Freeman, who's had a good day at the plate, leads off for the Braves and takes it high for ball 1. And we're joined from the Mets dugout by outfielder Mike Baxter. Mike, it's Gary, Keith, and Ron up in the booth. How you doing?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing well. I'd like to ask you about your experience so far playing in center field, which I know is not entirely new to you, but I don't think you came to spring training thinking you were going to get a lot of reps in center field. So how has that gone for you?
It's been going well. You know, I didn't come in thinking I was going to get a lot of reps, but I prepared in the offseason in case it would happen. And, you know, unfortunately we had a bunch of injuries and I found myself out there. But when it's all said and done, I feel pretty good out there. I feel comfortable. I've been working a lot in batting practice, and I've gotten a bunch of time out there. So I think it's been going pretty well.
You're having a good spring with the bat. You got off hot. You feeling good at the plate?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Just kind of putting into that approach we've been talking to Hudgy about, trying to work the ball back up the middle. But yeah, so far so good.
As Freddie Freeman takes one in the opposite field for his 4th home run of the spring, and the Braves now lead at 6-4.
Well, Mike, well documented. You're from Whitestone and Queens. It must be nice to try to make this ball club out of spring training.
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to have a chance to come in and at least go for a spot on the team. And, you know, I really love playing in New York, and I'm going to try to do anything I can to make that team, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Of course, you began your college career at Columbia University, Morningside Heights, Lions, and you left us behind and you went up to Vanderbilt in Nashville. And you have some incredibly talented guys that you spent the offseason working out with in Nashville, didn't you?
Yeah, we have a good group down there. There's a bunch of guys that come back. You know, they've done a good job getting a lot of kids drafted out of there. So on a daily basis, you know, we got 15 guys in there coming in throughout the morning hours and getting their work in. With you know, David Price comes around quite a bit, Pedro Alvarez, Ryan Flaherty's got a chance to make the Orioles team this year. So it's a big group of guys that come back, and it's a great offseason spot for all of us.
Mike, what's the demeanor in this clubhouse right now? I mean, you've got 9 days to go till opening day. A guy like yourself waiting to see if you make the ball club, but what's the general mood as you approach opening day?
I think everybody's excited. You know, spring training's a pretty long time, and I think we've all gotten to a point where we're ready to break camp and go up north and see how it goes. But as far as I know, everybody's ready to go. We got some guys coming back, getting healthy, and I think that's really good. You know, all those guys are getting their at-bats, and I think we're starting to hit stride as we're getting closer to the season. So I'm excited about it.
Well, Mike, thanks very much for joining us, and good luck to you.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
That's Mike Baxter from the Mets dugout, brought to us about the Xerox business of baseball. Xerox ready for real business. Is Jose Lugo, lefty up in the Braves bullpen. And Roush gets one over to David Ross, 1-1. Meanwhile, Freddie Freeman's excellent day continues. A couple of walks, a sac fly, now an opposite field home run into that jet stream out to left. Rolled out to short. Lucas May comes up empty, but Ronnie Cedeno throws out Ross for the second out. I think Lucas, after making 2 steps, knew he wasn't going to get there.
It looked like he was on a slip and slide here, Keith.
Well, if he makes the play, he's not going to throw anybody out. But an A for effort.
At least he got out of the way.
That's right.
Lucas is a catcher who can play other positions, third base being one of those. So 2 out. Here's Jason Hayward, 1 for 2 and a hit by pitch today. But he's hit the ball hard twice. From the time he was retired, he lined out to right field.
It's very mechanical when I watch his swing, Keith. Hayward. Seem all natural. You know, when he first came up, one of the critiques was that he had such a good batting eye that he wasn't as aggressive as they thought he should be. But I think having a good batting eye always serves you well.
Wound up last year with an on-base percentage under 320, so that didn't particularly work out for him last year.
Hey, once you get around the league, and you know his second year last year is injured, so you really, the book's not closed, but They'll find your weaknesses in Major League pitching.
Ramon Ramirez getting ready now in the Mets bullpen. It's made 3 significant bullpen moves in the offseason, bringing in Rausch and Ramirez and Frank Francisco. Really the only area where they went out and specifically addressed needs and spent a little money in the offseason. Ramirez, of course, coming with Andres Torres in the deal for Angel Pagan, who, by the way, is having an awful spring with the Giants. They are very concerned about Angel.
Well, the one thing about bullpen pitchers is that you see these new additions is that if there's anywhere in baseball where guys move around so much, where they're almost 50 cents on the dollar when you go after those guys, because you never know when you're going to catch lightning in a bottle.
Strike 3 called. They were down looking. So Rausch bounces back after the home run, gets a couple of ground balls and a strikeout. 7th inning stretch, 6-4 Braves. It's been a perfect beach day here in South Florida. Perfect ballpark day as well. That's a nice sound, isn't it?
It's the best.
Get the sound of the surf in there. Changes for the Braves. J.C. Boscan has come on to do the catching. Jose Constanza is in left field, and on the mound, lefty Jose Lugo.
10th pro season for Lugo as he's trying to catch on, be one of the left-handers in that already crowded left-handed bullpen for the Braves.
Lucas Maya for the first time, batting 9th in the order. Playing third base now, takes a strike. Let's see, Lugo was originally signed by the A's in 2002. Wow, that's a long time ago. Figure that many years in professional baseball, you'd like to have a better number than 99.
Might want to start looking for another job.
It's been through the A's, the Twins, the Rockies, the Mariners, and now the Braves organization. Out to short where Dickey has the 2-hop. Off the bag comes Freeman to put the tag on May for the first out. Get an inside look at the Mets and Yanks with live reports from camp, plus all the latest New York sports news in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, part of the New York Sports Local, today at 5:30, only on SNY. That's presuming that this game is over in time for Wheelhouse. We don't want to get in those guys' way. Here's Jordani Valdespin. A bloop single and a sacrifice fly for Valdespin, who's played the whole game in center field, and if memory serves, has had what, one chance
One chance.
Yeah, one chance.
Little line drive, a little bit over his head. I think it was the sac fly by Freeman.
Right. He moves around out there like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's just got such fluid, athletic movements. It gives you some kind of air of confidence despite his lack of experience out there. Wilson throws out Valdespin for the second out. So two-way now. Justin Turner drove in a run with a base hit in the fifth. Mets were down 5-1, scored 3 runs in the bottom of the fifth. Then Freddie Freeman's home run in the top of this inning stretched the Atlanta lead to 6-4. Buddy Carlisle started for Atlanta, went 4 innings plus, allowed 2 runs and 3 hits. Corey Guerin a third of an inning, 2 runs and 1 hit. And Johan Flonde an inning in the third. Ramon Ramirez getting ready in the Mets bullpen. Mets have used a lot of bullpen today, which was part of the plan after Chris Schwinden started. We've already seen Olson, Parnell, Edgin, and Roush, and Ramirez will pitch the 8th, and presumably Frank Francisco the 9th. 2-0 to Turner, with Vinny Rotino on deck to pinch hit. Fastball strike, 2-1. There's Vinny.
Every time I look at the box score, Rotino has a couple of hits, doesn't he?
You know, I don't know if Vinny's going to be on the opening day roster. It probably depends on the health of Scott Hairston, who's looking more and more as though he will be ready opening day. But I have a feeling at some point this year, Vinny Rotino will be around and be an important piece for the Mets. He can just do a lot of things well. Play a lot of different positions, and he can hit. Outside ball 4, and Turner's on with the 2-out walk. So Rotino will come to the plate as the tying run. And, you know, Vinny Rotino is one of those guys you root for. He's 31 years old. He was an undrafted player out of college. University of Wisconsin lacrosse. You know, which doesn't send a whole passel of players to the big leagues.
They've got a UW in about every single little town, don't they, in Wisconsin?
Whitewater, Eau Claire.
That's right.
Whitewater, that was Bob Wickman, right?
Yep.
Fastball strike to Rotino. Ike Davis is on deck.
Almost a balk. Yeah, right. Number 99.
Makes me think of Turk Wendell.
Makes me think of the great one.
Well, different sport. I could go with Mark Gastineau too. 1-1. Hit up the middle, and Pasternacky with a nice diving stop and gets the force play. And Tyler Pasternacky showing off. Nice range to his left and a good play to end the inning. Keep it 6-4 Atlanta. Changes for the Mets as we go to the 8th inning. Jordani Valdespin moves from center field to second base. Vinny Rotino, after pinch hitting, stays in center field. And Ramon Ramirez will take over the pitching.
You know, it's been a tough go of it so far in spring training, but those are his numbers from last season. The Mets would like to see that. 66 strikeouts in 66 games with that low ERA.
He's really had about half a dozen outstanding years as a middle to late inning reliever. First with Colorado, then Kansas City, a couple of years with the Red Sox, and then the last 2 with the Giants. And I think Ramirez is one of those guys who's really flown under the radar in terms of public perception. You know, we talk all the time about relief pitching being probably the most fungible quality in the game, but Ramirez has been remarkably consistent.
The only problem that's hard to kind of evaluate, Gary, is when a guy's thrown in 60 games 4, 5, 6 years in a row. When is that year that takes its toll?
Another lefty up in that Atlanta bullpen. They've had a passel of them today. Ryan Buckter is up now. Drew Sutton is 2 for 3. Both his hits have come as a left-hand batter. He was retired as only right-handed at bat today. And he bounces this one down to Ike Davis, who's played the whole game and makes the play himself for the first out.
And Ike has played the whole game. Played a nice first base defensively today. Everything he's had around, I think, 3 chances and made him look easy.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now we'll get Jorge Constanza to bat for the first time. Constanza, who will always have a place in Met fans' hearts as
that's right,
a noted villain for having ended Daniel Murphy's season last year with a slide into second. And he takes a strike. Not that he really did anything wrong.
No. It was a little late. That was the only criticism you could make.
Constanza drops one foul.
Great job by Mike Nikias before Constanza came to the plate. Here we are in the 8th inning of a spring training game. He told Mr. May at third base, watch out for the bunt, and it came to pass. Always on top of the game, Mike Nikias.
Now Ramirez ahead 0-2 on Constanza. You know, we were talking about Ramirez and how consistent he's been, but his story was a real winding road before he ever got to the major leagues. He was originally signed by Texas as an outfielder. It was back in 1996, and then ended up going to Japan because nobody in this country wanted him. Pitched just 3 innings in the Japanese league before he finally impressed a Yankee scout, and he wound up signing and coming back to this country. Right up the wickets, and a base hit for Constanza.
Well, I think because of, and maybe not as much now, as you see a little fastball away. Now maybe a changeup away that Constanza gets on top of and right through the wickets, as Gary said. So with the dearth of pitching, the pulling of the ripcord on everyday players who can't hit is quicker and quicker now than it used to be. You see, you know, Jason Mock, the catcher for in college, who's a pitcher for the Cardinals, closed out the World Series last year.
Here's Tyler Pastornicki up for the second time. Well, it used to be if there was any question, the player always was a position player.
Yeah.
Because that was considered to be of greater value. I remember as recently as the trade we referenced earlier in the broadcast, Pedro Martinez for Delano DeShields. The feeling was that DeShields was an everyday player. He was much more valuable than any pitcher. Well, didn't quite work out that way. Popped up into shallow right. And Duda coming in to make the call. 2 out.
Well, especially a pitcher who was getting middle of the game innings.
Right, but I think the entire equation has flipped. In fact, I think what we've seen over the last decade and a half is that most of the better athletes and the bigger athletes who go out for baseball are all being funneled into pitching, which means that there's kind of a dearth of power hitting coming up through the minor leagues.
When I was a kid, everyone was the shortstop if you weren't left-handed, and then you moved to another position as you moved along the line.
There's Michael Bourn, 2 for 3, including a 3-run homer, and he takes a strike.
Also, in talking to Joe McElvain today, he said it's interesting that a lot of the catchers you have today are kids that played other positions that came to be a catcher later in their career.
Sure.
Or as a professional.
Well, that's the position that has always been the hardest to find quality depth in everybody's organization, and the Mets are certainly an example of that. You look up and down their farm system, and it's hard to find a prospect catcher. That's why when you have one, you treat him as a special commodity.
And if you do have a glut of people in that position, you can do what the Yankees did this winter in trading for Pineda, because they have some catching down in their farm system that looks like they're ready to go pretty soon.
The interesting thing, of course, with Jesus Montero is whether he's going to remain a catcher. And of course, any player who can hit the way Montero has that much more value if he is a catcher than if he is, say, a third baseman or outfielder.
I don't think I've ever seen a catcher, though, that has been switched positions because they want to take the wear and tear off his legs, and now might be the center fielder in 2 months for the Washington Nationals. And Bryce Harper.
Well, I mean, when you have a catcher who's a good offensive player, as Bourn goes down swinging for the 3rd out, you have to make that call, whether it's Buster Posey or Joe Mauer or anybody else. Still 6-4 Atlanta, middle of the 8th. Changes for the Braves as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Luis Durango comes in to play center field. And 25-year-old lefty Ryan Buckter is in to pitch to Ike Davis as we start the bottom of the 8th.
New Jersey. Where's Gloucester, on the shore?
That sounds South Jersey-ish.
Richard of Gloucester. What? There you go.
Gordon's of Gloucester.
Or if in Massachusetts, it's Gloucester.
Ike is 0 for 3 today. A couple of strikeouts and a ground out. A breaking ball by Buckter has him behind 1-2. Buckter was originally drafted by the Nationals, 33rd round pick back in 05. Played in the Cubs organization before the Braves got him last year, and he ties Ike Davis in a knot. 3rd time Ike has struck out today. As you're checking in around the majors, presented by Citi. Chipper Jones had his knee surgery yesterday. Hopes to be ready for the home opener for the Braves April 13th. Miguel Cabrera, coming back from the broken orbital bone, says that he will be ready opening day. And Giancarlo Stanton is back and playing in a minor league game after being hit by a pitch against the Mets.
Yeah, Chris Swindon, who started today's game, hit Stanton in that ball game, and then after that,
it's a long time ago,
he tweaked the hamstring, which kept him out of a few games.
So he's had hamstring problems in the past.
You know, if he keeps getting hurt, he's going to go right back to Mike.
That's right.
0-2 to Duda. Breaking ball by Baxter has the left-hand hitters scrambling.
Stanton's a big, strong guy. He might be like a fine-tuned piano for those legs of his. He's had nothing but hamstring problems.
Well, as strong as he is, he can stand flat-foot and hit the ball 500 feet. By the way, did you hear about the home run Jason Worth hit off Matt Harvey the other day?
You know, I heard about it. Certainly didn't see it. Harvey gave up, what, 3 bombs in the first inning?
Worth's home run, they estimated at 492 feet.
What?
And apparently, somehow, I mean, think of the, what are the odds of this? Worth's home run wound up banging against the bumper of his pickup truck in the parking lot.
That's funny. Well,
of course, Worth embellished the story a little bit. He said, yeah, there was just a mark in the ground where my pickup used to be. And even Harvey had a good sense of humor about it. And I thought that was a really good sign because, you know, here's a kid who hasn't pitched a day in the big leagues and has all this hype surrounding him. And he admitted that he was overamped because he was going up against Steven Strasburg.
That's right.
And I thought he handled the aftermath awfully well and with good humor and grace.
And he hadn't started. He had pitched now in these spring training games, but he hadn't started a game, which is a different animal.
To the right side, Wilson can't get it. And Duda's got his second hit of the game.
I also don't think it's a bad thing, Gary, to take down to the minor leagues a little whooping and say to yourself, boy, you know what? Maybe I'm a little further from the major leagues than I think, and have to put in some extra work, which I'm sure he will.
And he's got to realize that he wasn't facing Steven Strasburg. He was facing the Nationals lineup. Don't get caught up in that, you know?
That's right.
Can't get caught up in that.
Strasburg's going to be easy saddle.
Exactly.
Rob Johnson will appear as a pinch hitter. Johnson 5 for 22 this spring, including a home run. He's the tying run at the plate in a 6-4 game.
Where are all the minor leaguers today? All the fields are empty.
It was camp day.
We're trying to figure out what that means.
Well, camp day means, you know, they go out, they have some s'mores, and
they have what? what are we talking about? What? Would you expound?
They're on the bus trip to the High Line. They're going to the High Line in the afternoon.
Tell me.
No, I think I think that it's kind of a day of that they watched R.A. Dickey pitch today. Probably did some maybe skull session kind of deals, and just
they didn't play games.
Easy day at the ballpark.
It was a non-game day. Okay. For the minor leaguers today. But actually, the camp game that we saw, R.A. Dickey pitch in and J.R.'s Familia pitch in and Scott Hairston playing later in that same game. Zach Wheeler pitched a few innings in that game. So not all of the minor leaguers had the day off. But the s'mores come later. 3-0 now to Johnson. And he takes a strike. Cedeno waiting next.
I see a lot of white vans over there. I forgot when you're in the minor leagues, most of the kids don't have a car.
That's right.
And you got to shower up and you got to get
back to the hotel.
I forgot all about that.
That's awful.
Actually, the motels.
That's an easy thing to forget about, by the way.
Johnson lines it right at Hayward, and that's the second out.
Where'd you stay in St. Petersburg?
All up and down 4th Street. But all the motels.
Wasn't that one hotel?
King's Rest, I remember.
There was one on the water near Al Lang where everyone would stay.
I saw those palmetto bugs. I'm coming from California. I about died. I never saw anything like it.
Now, what would be worse, staying in that kind of a motel or what they used to have in Dodgertown where they had the barracks for the minor league?
I heard that was bad, too. The Admiralty, was that the name of the...
I forget.
That's in Norfolk.
Oh, was that? Yeah, I stayed at that that too.
Yeah, me too. Pounds it out to short, and Pastor Dickey makes the play for the force, and we head to the ninth with the Braves up 6-4. SNY is brought to you by Citi. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Ford. And by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. Be a hero. GoPro. Jack Wilson leads off in the ninth inning. Changes for the Mets. Rob Johnson now catching. Vinny Rotino moves from center field to first base. That's Wilfredo Tovar now playing second over from the minor league side. Ronnie Cedeno makes the catch on the pop-up by Wilson, and that's the first down. Mike Baxter in to play left field. Danny Valdespin, who started in left field, moved to second base, is now back in center field. Just to completely confuse the situation. So Valdespin will get 8 of his 9 innings in center field. Still only 1 chance under his belt. Here's Freddie Freeman, who's had a big day. 2 walks, a sacrifice fly, and then an opposite field home run. So officially he's 1 for 1 with 2 RBIs. Ramon Ramirez working a second inning. I believe this is the first time he's gone multiple innings this spring. And Freeman socks another one deep to left center. Valdespin back near the wall, and it's out of here. What a day for Freddie Freeman. His second home run. And it's 7-4 Atlanta. He's ready.
Yeah. I think he'll be able to take the day off tomorrow, Mr. Freeman.
Well, Freeman and the Braves will be at Citi Field opening day. And the Mets will probably be racking their brain trying to find a different way to pitch him.
No, that's his wheelhouse. He's a low ball hitter. I think you got to crowd him upstairs.
You noticed in that replay, Keith, he has a very short bat.
Matt Diaz up for the first time.
It's my new hero, Matt Diaz.
Why is that?
That was his idol growing up.
Is that right?
He was a Keith Hernandez fan. We did an interview with him down last time we played the Braves with Matt in the dugout. That was the first time with an opposing player, and he expressed to me that he was a Keith Hernandez fan. So I told him I would never say anything bad about him again.
Do you know that if we did interviews with opposing players on a regular basis, you know how often you'd hear that? I mean, we already have Ross Glover.
I was going to say Ross Glover
and Matt Diaz in your column. There are probably dozens of others who are lying in the bushes, waiting to unmask themselves as Keith Hernandez fans.
Very nice. Express yourself.
Keep it coming. J.C. Boscan batting for the first time.
What was that? I'm so sick of talking about myself. Let's talk about you. What do you think about me? Oh, gosh.
3-0 out of Boscan.
It's been a very exciting ball game.
I'm just going to hold you to it. I'm going to see if you can go the entire year without saying anything derogatory about Matt Diaz, which you really don't usually anyways.
He hustles.
He hustles, plays hard.
Boscan draws a 2-out walk. And Jason Hayward will be up for the 5th time. 1 for 3. He's also been hit by a pitch.
So Freeman got John Roush. He got Ramirez here late in the ball game.
So what you're saying is it's not like he got the scrubs.
Yeah,
he got the guys he's going to be facing late in games. Now the question is, who will be the left-hander who gets brought in to the spot to face Freddie Freeman in the late innings in the games that count?
Well, I'm sure the light bulb is on over Mr. Collins' head as he's thinking about Freddie Freeman comes up in a big situation and bringing in a lefty.
Well, here's the question then for Freddie Gonzalez. You've got Freeman, McCann, and Hayward in your lineup. If you're the opposing manager, first of all, who do you fear the most? Is it McCann or is it Freeman at this point? And also for Freddie, does he try to split those guys up?
Well, I think in order for, and I don't know if you agree, Keith, I think because he's done it longer, it's McCann first, Freeman, then Hayward. But Freeman's making a quick run.
I think it's a situation-wise where a base hit beats you, McCann. But if you got a 3-run lead and you got a guy that got 2 men on base, you don't want Freeman to hit the 3-run bomb.
Well, let me ask you an additional question as Ramirez walks back-to-back hitters each on 4 pitches, and nobody's up in the Mets bullpen. Let me ask you from the standpoint of how the Mets are going to construct their roster coming out of spring training. Burdack is probably not going to be ready on opening day. You're facing the Braves in that first series, and they've got those 3 left-handed bats playing every day. Does it behoove you to come out of spring training with 2 lefties in your bullpen?
You know, I've always been I've always said I want 2 lefties in the bullpen no matter who you're playing.
As Daniel Herrera, the lefty, gets up for the Mets in the bullpen. I think when I look at those kind of series and you're starting it off, the problem with, not problem, but the reality of today's game, Gary, is that sometimes that save situation is a lefty in the 5th or the 6th that you have to get that big out.
You're right. So therefore, you need, I think, got to have two lefties in your pen.
Yeah.
So if Burdack's not available, and he's going to be touch and go probably as to whether he will be, I would think it's still doubtful coming back from the knee surgery that he'll be ready that first game. So you've got Olsen, you've got Edgin, and you've got Herrera left in camp to compete for what could be 2 spots.
I have one last little thing to add on that. If you have a left-handed closer, which is not the case in the Mets, then I want 3 left-handers in my bullpen.
By the way,
take the closer out of it.
You're not planning to jump, are you?
No, I'm just.
I notice you moving closer to the edge.
I'm just. I'm bored up here.
Sorry. We'll try to entertain you.
Try not to take it personally.
0-2 now to Sutton. I mean, I've never seen you like this before.
Well, it's just I can look at your monitor from here, and it's just different. Tired of sitting.
I'm just trying to make sure you're okay, and we don't need to call a hotline or anything.
Stretch my legs.
So Ramirez, after back-to-back walks, gets ahead on Sutton 0-2.
The only thing about Herrera is there you are.
Yeah, I'm just sitting on the table. That's all. Life's good. Don't even worry about me ending it all.
You never know. I worry about these things. Deep to right center. Back in the gap, and Valdespin back to grab it. Like it was nothing. Wow. Like he'd been playing out there his entire life. Tonight starting at 10:30, get continued coverage of today's Mets-Braves game, plus interviews, highlights, and recaps of everything New York sports. Geico Sports Night tonight starting at 10:30, only on SNY. Mike Baxter leads off the last of the ninth for New York against Jairo Asensio.
Asensio started his career with the Pirates, but you saw he was the save leader for the Gwinnett Braves last year with 26.
Nice year.
0-2 to Baxter.
That looked like a little change-up or Scroogey or something.
Yeah. Something fading.
Yeah.
Asensio has a pretty good chance to make this Braves team because he's out of options. He backed up his experience last summer with some strong work in winter ball. He was the MVP of the Caribbean Series for the Dominican Republic this winter. Dickey to Baxter, up the middle, and Pastor Dickey can't get this one. Already made one fine play going to his left, not this time. And the Mets have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the ninth, and Baxter just keeps on cranking out the hits.
Well, nice at bat, fell behind 0-2.
Lucas May up for the second time, grounded out in the seventh in his only plate appearance.
I was thinking, you mentioned earlier about Bobby Parnell having an option, and that might work against him. The business of baseball, right? Asensio might make this team because he does not. They don't want to lose him.
That's now with 7 hits in the game. The Braves have 10, and May hits it out to right center. Durango back, 1 out.
That's the wrong part of the ballpark to hit the ball with the way the wind is today, as it's been almost every day this spring. Blowing out to left, that's where you want to get it.
So now Valdespin is 1 for 3. He's stolen a base, delivered a run with a sacrifice fly, and has looked fairly comfortable out in center field. Particularly on that last ball in the last half inning. And then granted the wind knocked it down a little bit, but he chased that ball like there was nothing to it. Toward the hole, and a base hit for Valdespin, and the Mets will get the tying run to the plate. So Valdespin has his second hit of the game. And the Mets have 2 aboard, and Matt Dendecker will be coming up as a pinch hitter.
Well, there's Dendecker's numbers last year. The home runs were a surprise, 17. Having a tough spring this year. But this kid's very talented.
He can certainly play center field, but whether he's ready to hit in the big leagues yet or not is very much an open question. That's here is the tying run at the plate in a 7-4 game in the bottom of the ninth. 1 out. And Matt takes inside for ball 1. With the injury to Andres Torres and Scott Hairston working his way back, there have been a lot of names made more prominent this spring as the Mets look for guys who can play center field. And while Valdespin and Baxter and Lowen are trying to prove that they can play center field, the known quantity is Dendecker. Let's know what they've got there defensively. Again, if you missed it earlier, Hairston played in a minor league game today, his first action since hurting that oblique, the same one that ended the season last year. It's got to look good. He had 4 plate appearances, a walk, a hit by pitch, a base hit. His only problem was that hit by pitch at bat. Not only did he get hit by pitch, but before he did that, he broke 2 bats.
Broke 2 bats, and then got hit right in the side
by J.R.'s Familia, who throws pretty hard.
That's right.
But he shook it off, and it didn't seem to be much of an issue.
You know, the other thing is if you start with someone who has less experience in center field, it's, you know, not a lot of time for a learning curve at the new City Field with the new configurations. I mean, the Mets will not get in till late on Wednesday night.
That's right. They've got a game Wednesday in Tampa, and then fly to New York and play 1 o'clock the next afternoon for opening day. Now Asensio ahead 1-2 on Dendecker.
I'm sure it happened, but I can't remember not having a day to work out before your first game.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
You've got to have that one day off to come up and get settled where you're living.
Yeah.
You know, have a normal night. You go have an easy workout the next day, and then you go home, have a nice dinner, and you're ready to go the next day for opening day. When are they going to mix in the welcome home day?
It's that night. Oh, it's going to be a very busy 24 hours. There you see Mets pocket schedule. The opening day is the 5th after the Mets play in Tampa on the 4th, and the night of the 5th, the Mets have the welcome home day. So
it's right into the fire, isn't it?
Get to breathe on Friday when the Mets have the day off.
Find your apartment on the 6th, I guess.
That's the only consolation is the 6th.
Unless you get rained out on the 5th.
Hey, you're already with the rain?
That's why that off day is there. You know.
Always. You're right, Gary. You're a Met fan, Gary, from old. Remember the snow out in St. Louis back in the late 70s?
I don't remember a snow out.
I got a picture of myself in my heavy Cardinal jacket with snow just all over me. I mean, it snowed. The next day we opened, it was 70 degrees.
I remember when we opened in Colorado in '95, first game at Coors Field, it snowed 6 inches the night before. Wow. They brought in helicopters to clean the field. Then
really?
The next day, 35 degrees, 14 innings, 5.5-hour game. 3-2 up the middle and a base hit for Decker. Baxter will be held at third, and now the tying runs are aboard. So 3 hits in the inning for Baxter, Valdespin, and Decker, and they're loaded up for Vinny Rotino.
Oh, nice at bat.
Nice chance for Vinny to get it up in that jet stream to left field. Why not?
So the Caribbean Series MVP Asensio having trouble closing the door here in the 9th inning. As the shadows encroach, Vinny Rotino will step in. Looked like he had a base hit his only time up in this game. Hit one up the middle, but Tyler Dickey made a terrific diving play to his left. And got a force play. Rotino hitting over 300 on the spring. And takes it off the plate. Slider for ball 1. Josh Tolley out on deck to pinch hit. If Rotino does not end it. It's 2-0. Nobody behind Asensio in the Braves bullpen. J.C. Boscan out for a conversation.
Roger, you don't watch out. Romain Asensio is going to give him a walk-off piece here.
Danny Herrera getting ready for a possible 10th inning. Last man left in the Mets bullpen. Now Rotino with the count in his favor. And a 2-0 slider in for a strike. How about that with the bases loaded?
Impressive. That's one to take if you're hitting.
Baxter at third, Valdespin at second, and Decker at first with 1 out. Braves 7 runs, 10 hits. The Mets 4 runs and 9 hits. And it's inside, ball 3.
And now he's got to throw a strike.
Freddie Gonzalez seeing if he has anybody left.
The left-handers out of the bullpen have been great for the Braves. The right-handers have had some problems.
Guerin and now Asensio. Rotino takes it high, and that forces in a run. And now it's 7-5. The tying run moves into scoring position, and the potential winning run is on base. Baxter comes in with the 5th Met run. And Roger McDowell wearing out a path to the mound.
Well, kiddo, don't look down the bullpen. There's no help for you.
19 pitches deep into this 9th inning. We know that because of our great new scoreboard up in the top left corner of the screen.
Josh Tolley, who caught 8 innings in that game today, caught R.A. Dickey this morning.
That's right. And so Josh continuing his day. let's see, what did he do this afternoon? He had
he had a double.
2 doubles, a fly out and a ground out. So another double here, and he could win the game. Bases loaded, 1 out. And he pulls off. Change up from Asensio, 0-1. He was geared up for that first pitch fastball, wasn't he?
Well, he really was.
Josh has not been looking to pull the ball much this spring. But that time he was. That was maybe a shade inside, but Chris Conroy called it a strike, 0-2.
And that ball's in.
So quickly, Tolle finds himself in a 2-strike hole. By the way, Lucas Duda's on deck. Still only 1 out. That was definitely inside. If you have a sense of humor, you're Tolle. You turn around and say to Conroy, you sure about that one?
Yeah. I don't think Conroy would find it very humorous.
Chris Conroy, young umpire, calling the balls and strikes today. Bases loaded, 1 out. Here's the 1-2 to Josh, and that's inside. So Asensio keeps pounding in, and it's 2-2. Valdespin, Dendecker, and Rotino are the base runners. Tying run at second, potential winning run at first. 2-2 to Tolle. Strike 3 call. And no argument there from Josh. That's the second out.
No, boy, he just stayed inside, didn't he?
That's that fastball that starts out at the hitter and comes back over that inside corner. This is a good pitch.
Yep. Tied him up.
Number 31 for the Braves had a pretty good career doing that.
Right.
Greg Maddux. So it comes down to this. Duda, who has already homered in this game, walked and singled, 2 for 3. Bases loaded, 2 down, last of the ninth. Mets down 7-5.
Well, I got to believe he's going to lead him off with a splitter.
He did with Tolle, right?
Yeah.
First pitch change.
Fastball.
Duda watches the fastball wide for ball 1.
Ronnie, question. Pitch him away, let him try to pull it out of the ballpark with the wind blowing out to left field. Would you be more reluctant to pitch away?
Yes, you would. Absolutely, especially if you're watching the game and watch him hit a home run earlier in the game.
Popped it up, and this one will stay in the ballpark. Constanza tracking it, and that puts it into the afternoon. The Braves hang on to win it 7-5. Mets fell behind 5-1. Fell behind 7-4. Rallied a couple of times, but the Braves hang on to win it. Duda homers for the Mets. Freeman homers twice for the Braves. And Atlanta pulls out the win.
Well, when you look at the game today, you had a couple of pitchers that are, just fighting for the last chance, really. Schwinden, who started for the Mets and struggled a bit. And, of course, Buddy Carlisle, who probably is not going to make the team starting for the Braves, but gets the win.
Fine outings for Bobby Parnell and Josh Edgin out of the bullpen for the Mets today. As they fall 7-5, we'll be